describes acts of extreme violence in graphic detail and may include discussions about demonology and the occult, topics that caused widespread panic during the 1980s. This content may not be suitable for children under the age of 50. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the GROGTALK with your hosts, Dan and James.
And hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to GROGTALK. I'm James.
I'm Dan.
Hey Dan, how are you today?
Good. I like you're working on your radio voice, it sounds like.
Why, yes I am. I'm trying to.
It sounds good. It's about time.
So Dan, tell us where we're from today.
Well, James, as you know, we're out of the abyss. People are gathering again. So we're very fortunate to be on location at Glen Ellen, Illinois at the CWA Spring Game Fest. James, do you know what CWA stands for? You know, I love to put you on the spot.
Wargaming Association, that's my guess.
Oh, come on, you're so close. Don't stop now.
CW Wargaming, and where are we from? What's the name of the place again?
Glen Ellen, Illinois.
Okay, the Chicago Wargaming Association. Thank you. Look at that.
Oh, I was waiting for you to do the ding, ding, ding. But you took a
well,
sip. I thought your hand was going to the...
yeah. You know what the problem is? I have a new soundboard. I can't find the ding, ding, ding. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh, that's cash thing. So
it's the money, yes.
That's right. I don't know. Oh, I don't have ding, ding, ding. That's terrible. That's no ding, ding, ding.
It's like when you show up to class and you realize you've forgotten your notes or something. Oh, boy. Oh.
So, well, anyway, we're here in front of our live studio audience. Give yourselves a hand. There you go.
Yes, and so James, you are absolutely correct. We are at the Chicago Wargaming Association's Spring Game Fest. James, did you realize this is the first springtime convention to be staged by the Chicago Wargamers Association?
I did not know that. They've really been a great host here while we've been here this whole time. So that's super cool.
Why do I feel like Bill Fawcett should be here? He's probably here at the con somewhere, don't you think?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
You know, at the College of DuPage, more than 100 events are scheduled, James, including a big AD&D tournament, miniatures, auctions, seminars, and exhibits. I love how things are changing. When it's the Chicago Wargamers Association, I think they're changing, and there is a big ADA tournament. They're talking about role-playing, so that's a sign of the times.
Wow. Is that kind of ties into what Bill Willingham said last time with a wheelchair accessible dungeon? Is that the same thing or is that a different thing?
You lost me on that. You mean it's like the times are changing, right? So that's the equivalent back then is role. It's not really the same, but similar, yes. I'll see you at the Panzerblitz tournament later tonight at the lounge.
That's right. I heard they may be doing Jeopardy there as well, which you are the champion, so you represent the Florida chapter.
You do realize we could never do Jeopardy again, and you know why, don't you?
No, I don't know why.
So I will remain.
Oh, that's right.
The champ.
That's right. That's right. That bit is done. That's right.
It's over. No more.
That's right.
No more Jeopardy.
We will never see Jeopardy again. Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
You guys created a monster. Don't ever play games with me. I'm not a good winner. I'm a poor loser and a poor winner.
Well, Carlos is a poor. Carlos and you have something in common. No wonder why I was so angry last time.
He was a little angry. Well, it did have a little bit of the Moops Moores feel to it, since his answer did seem to be correct at some part of the book. So
yeah, but that does it's what the judges go with, and this is where that the time you spent with our Tim Cass has paid off. So hey, good for you. So I'm not bitter because I sucked. I couldn't get anything right. So Anyhow, so announcements. Well, we have more big announcements. Obviously, GrogCon, October 15th through the 17th. We talked to Craig, who is one of the co-founders of Crucible. The convention that we are hosting resides inside Crucible. We talked to him on Thursday night, and very exciting stuff, right, Dan?
It is, and so we should probably announce the name change.
Yes, we should announce the name change.
Because now it's the Crucible that we are hosting. No, I'm sorry, the Crucible. No, that was not one of them. The convention that we are hosting at Crucible 9.
That's right. The convention we are hosting at Crucible 9. That's right. And even though, he told us an interesting tidbit. I guess they get rid of most conventions have gotten rid of the numbering. Like Gary Con, I guess it's 12 or 13, but when you go to Gen Con, it says Gen Con now. They don't even tell you what year.
Yeah, no one's like, I'm going to Gary Con. Well, with Super Bowl's numbers. But yeah, so we may at some point drop the number. I had suggested that we just make it like GrogCon 23 to like people would think.
Wow, this is the 23rd one? This is amazing. What a great
It's our
show.
damn convention. We can name it anything we want, right?
And we did name it the convention we are hosting because we're so original in that. But we talked about doing our show live right in the mezzanine area. Looks like we're going to have pretty much our own area for GrogCon activities and GROGTALK events. We may have to share it with the puppet show, but that kind of happens.
Right, we're going to be like on the other side of the hotel.
I told them GrogCon, then puppet show, but that'll be us. So for the
Spinal Tap.
Exactly. All roads lead back. I've been watching a lot of Spinal Tap. I mean, they're still amazing. So what that means to all of you, if you are interested in going, tickets should be available to purchase at tabletop events between now and probably mid-May. Then, if you want to run a event there, you want to host a DM, that will also be available. And what will happen is you'll submit it, and then Dan and I will review it. We'll make sure the schedules are good, and we're moving forward. We're also thinking about an early bird. We really want to know how many people are coming. So we are going to look at doing some kind of early bird special. If you sign up, we're looking at either making a custom dice or something that we would give out to the first 50 or 100 people to incentivize them to book early, because we really want to know who's coming and want to have a great show. So that's October 15th, 17th. You can go to grogcon.com for the latest information. If you have questions, you can send that to info@grogcon.com. Super exciting. Did I miss something, Dan?
No, but I think we should think about calling it something like, the early Griffin special, or
the early Griffin,
or the early what was that? What was that one that ate the hearts?
The Peritron.
Periton.
I want to say Peloton because now there's but it's
Wait.
not a Peloton.
This brings up some. I do have some really important information.
Yes,
I can't believe we didn't know this. In Dragon number 93, Frank Mentzer did a list of pronunciations.
Well, Dragon 93 it's almost past 1985. That's pretty late.
It's really hitting the edge, and that's why we probably didn't know about it.
Right.
But it has pronunciations. So do you know that it says drow or dro? You can do either. Grumsh, grumsh. So basically, and I'm a little unhappy here because I think
it's they didn't commit. Frank, come on.
What do you guys think about that?
I think that's
it's a little bit like they're
really angry.
They're chasing Frank. Frank is fleeing the convention. So you think it's a little bit like Sage Advice, where we talked about someone asked if you could be these other elves, and they were like, "Well, it's up to the DM,"
right.
And we felt like that was a little bit of a cop out. Yeah, it may have been.
That's terrible. No, you can't do that. Ultimately, of course, it's up to the DM. You might as well just say see page 9 or whatever the thing I always expound on in the DMG. So. And
speaking of pronunciations, can you get the reaction that you just did, right? Which I think is from the right. Get ready for that. Okay, ready? So apparently, Rob, our editor in chief, hates it when I say Shalala.
No, God!
Apparently,
God, please, no!
Shalala.
That's what I say. Is it Shillelagh?
Apparently, it's Donna Shalala. We've been pronouncing Donna Shalala wrong all these years. Yes, apparently it's Shalala.
Who cares? That's what I say about that.
Yeah, you know.
There you go.
All right. I just wanted to mention that. Okay, moving on.
Yes, but by the way, I have 2 new sounds for you. You're
Okay.
just a gold mine of stuff. I know you're super
Oh,
excited.
and you're waiting for the opportune moment.
Oh yeah.
So I got to sit and wait.
Yeah. Rob, speaking of Rob, who doesn't like the way you say shillelagh, knows about them. Okay. Yep, shillelagh.
So let me guess. It's where
and
I.
Shannon, our friend from the Great White North says he's with Rob.
Well, he's right. No, they're
Lloyd,
right.
The shillelagh. Yes, we get it.
No,
we're
yes,
ignorant.
no. This is not. We're not going to go Frank Menser with. You say shillelagh, I say shalala, whatever. You know. No, they are correct.
Well, so they say. So the internet says. I've heard on the internet. Anyway.
Well, I can't wait to ask Steve Marsh if the pronunciations in Dragon number 93 are correct for his creatures.
Exactly.
Because if they're wrong for his own creatures and he wasn't consulted, well, now the whole project is suspect.
The Irish contingency cares. Well, clearly what we did on St. Patrick's Day, you know what we think about the Irish contingency. So we need to do Greek Independence Day. That's March 25th. We should do that next time.
That sounds like
a
lot
of fun. So we can make fun of the Greeks.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, if you are still, though we feel like we haven't been in the abyss in a while, but really we're starting to move out of the abyss, which is wonderful. But in the meantime, if you're not still able to play with folks, especially AD&D, can be hard, First Edition and other old school games, join us on Grognard's Guild Online or go out to our Discord. People are playing by post. We have games over Skype that Brian runs, other people are running. So, or if you want to run, go out there and do that, because that's one of the main. That's the reason we started this. I mean, Dan and his friend Ed started the meetup, which started all of this. So all it takes is a couple of people and a vision, right, Dan?
Indeed. Well said.
Thank you. That's very inspirational. Let's see.
That is touching.
I get that. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Wow.
I appreciate that.
Wow.
So I get a little golf clap.
You're full of surprises.
Yes. And we the reason this all happens is thanks to our patrons. And so today we get to give out a title. We give out David. He has. That's what we know him by from Patreon. But I see he is on there. David Schwab is out there, and he is ready for his title.
I think that's great, because oftentimes we have to do this in absentia. That right, we give the title and we're ready, and they're not around, which I understand. We've a lot of different time zones for people, and people have commitments, but it's always nice to have the person here. We can get his immediate reaction.
He can say, "This is what I signed up for. This is what I got."
I'm out.
So, hey, good morning, Jonathan. It is early. It does feel, it's like an Easter service. You don't have to go to sunrise service tomorrow if that's something in your wheelhouse.
Well, is that Jonathan from Seattle?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He's up there pretty early. So, do you have your D30 dice?
I do, and they are clean.
And so, David is they're clean. Oh,
We're out of the abyss. Everything's getting better.
Everything's getting better. They're freshly cleaned dice bag.
How many gamers can say their dice are clean?
That's right.
How often do people clean their dice?
That is a good poll.
No, it's not.
Have any of you cleaned your well, there's 2 questions there. Have you ever cleaned your dice? And if you have, what was the reason why you cleaned your dice? In your case, it was feline fecal matter that caused that.
I needed a real incentive. It took that. Why do I feel like this sounds like a conversation your mom would be having with you when you're like 8? Do you clean your dice? How often and why? Hey, what's going on there? You're chatting away. Is a lively bunch out there?
I just put on Twitter. Have you ever cleaned your dice? That's an amazing question.
Oh, maybe we could. No, Vic Dorso should create a dice cleaner.
like a golf ball washer. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Vic Dorso's dice washer. That's going to be on our merch page. Vic
You know,
Dorso's Dice Washer.
you have to, but you have to advertise it and market it to
Right.
the spouses, because the spouses who don't play are like, those things are
Oh
disgusting.
yeah, they could like be holding it out like the
Yes.
like, ooh, this
Oh, we
tired.
could do an infomercial.
That's right.
With Vic.
That's
And
right.
the dice are all disgusting, and they fly them through the air.
Oh, mommy, the
Yeah.
guy.
All right.
No, it's everyone.
Oh wait, I lost.
Are you there?
I can't hear you. What
You
happened?
can't hear me?
Hold on.
I can hear you. Dan is freezing. Oh no.
I got so excited. I'm back.
Okay, he's back. Do you hear me now?
I do.
Okay.
I did that whole dice flying through the air thing, and
Oh,
I must
UV
have
dice cleaner.
pressed
That's
something.
also a good point. We used to do that at work. We had because we would refurbish our computers that we would give out to people, and people would be pissed because it would be all full of grum and grind. So we'd wipe them off, and then we would show them doing this. That we'd be UV wanding them and use a shrink wrap, and they would thought it was Christmas. That I'm like, this is still a 5-year-old computer, but they like,
So
oh my
we should
goodness.
so we should start with the before with the UV ray,
Right.
and show it, and then after.
Yep, Vic Dorso's UV dice washing machine, something like that.
Is there feces on your dice?
Is there material that you cannot determine? That's
Yes.
Ooh, dirty dice done dirt cheap. That's good too.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's from our patron who's like, they've gone on a tangent. I really would like my title. Well, you're
Yeah.
not helping.
I got up for this. I'm going back to bed.
Come back about 10:30 and we should have your title done. Okay. So I love that idea. I'm writing it down. We'll probably never do anything with it, but
Yeah, these notes, they're just piling up and piling up.
oh, we have so many.
Okay.
So we need a production staff. My production goblin, he's not
Mm-hmm.
doing it. So, with that said, David is claiming the lands and waters of the Tampa Bay area, one of my home bases. So, Dorito remnants, absolutely, with a Mountain Dew residue. You know, when it falls into the cup of Mountain Dew or beer, it's Mountain Dew spills, exactly.
We so have to give out at the convention. Look, and I'll pay for this. How expensive it can be? We have to have a cooler full of Mountain Dew cans and a bunch of little bags of Doritos. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and based on what Craig was talking about, we may have some private room that we could do. That could be the things we serve there. So, for the special gain.
What's going on in the private room?
No champagne in the private room, or what is that song?
Oh, is that? I don't know. What happens in the private room stays in the private room. Okay.
Well, that's absolutely correct. So, all right.
Dirty. That's where you go to get your dice dirty.
Yeah, or you dip your dice in. I'm just dipping my dice, honey.
I'll be right back.
Don't be dipping your dice anywhere else.
Show me your dice.
Oh no, it's so bad. You can't dust for dice. You can't dust dice.
Yeah, you come back for the game. All right, show me your dice. They're clean, baby. I swear. I'll be the judge of that. Okay.
That sack has sack stank. It's got sack.
Oh boy, you knew that was coming. Oh, that was coming. All right.
All right. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, David. That's right. The GROGTALK champion. Exactly.
John's kids are listening. What's wrong with you, James?
They're chanting. I need to snip their thing. GROGTALK.
Yes, you should have gotten that chant.
Yeah, I know.
We need to get that set up with him. That'd be great, wouldn't it, to have his kids do a GROGTALK
if
chant?
they did a video chant of them, I need to ask him.
Yeah.
If we could do a video chant of his beautiful children, that would be great. If he would, do you have a release for that?
Yes.
Can you get that? Can you get
It's form 932.
Oh, 932. All right.
Do triplicate. I think they were chanting. I should have asked him this when we had him on the show. I think they were chanting that probably just because the music he's playing was I don't know, it's some late 70s or Led Zeppelin or something. Like,
Something like
please.
that. Oh, Craig Armstrong's on. Look at this. Everyone's
All right.
on.
We better get serious.
That's a little too late for that. So I need a D30 divided by 2, sir.
30 divided by 2 is 15.
Oh, okay. The master. David,
Master.
the master, his D30.
27.
30, 29, 20. August.
Master August.
Not August. August.
Right?
Right?
Well, Dragon Magazine says he can do it either way.
No.
Shalala.
Shalala, la 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 la. How you like that? How you like that?
I'll knock you on the head with our Shalala.
You got me on your knees, Shalala. Okay, then another D30.
11.
11, 15, 14, 13, 12. Wow. Is that true? Majesty. August Majesty.
Wow.
This is pretty good. Now a D15.
Oh, look, I can do light.
Yeah, give yourself some light.
Thank you. D15 is 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. Rounded up is 11.
Let's see. 15, 14, 13, 12. Baronet. He's a baronet. Very nice. Baronet.
Oh. So
Now,
a baronet, it's not a female baronet. It's obviously it's below a baron. Is that what a baronet is? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's like it's Sir Baronet Baron. It's in the DMG. Someone should look it up. Okay, now a D60, please.
Okay. A 4. It's a 4. It's because a 3 on the D6 and then a 4.
Baronet the Greater. It says Greater.
Okay.
And now what he's going to be known for, a D30.
This is the good one. 7.
7. Ooh. Oh, wonderful. Cool. We haven't had this. Queller.
A queller?
A Queller of Tampa Bay. Wow.
The queller? It sounds like something out of the Fiend Folio, like a
That's
fish.
Right. The Queller.
Or a band, I guess.
Yeah, that is. Oh, I love that. We do not have a Queller, so
a queller. Oh, I better get onto my chat there, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, I see it. Right. Hang on. I got to get off this because that's going to disappear. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Now I'm where I need to be.
All right. Well, that is great. So congratulations, David. You, sir, have, by the powers from us, vested by us, to the rest of you of the Grog Empire, we now bestow the following title to you, David. You, sir, will now be known forevermore in the Grog Empire as the Master, His August Majesty,
Baronet the Greater Queller of Tampa Bay.
Congratulations, sir. Well deserved. And at some point, I will be having to update the heraldry page. I'm way behind on that. That's right. You're the first Queller we've ever had. You know, that's good. I like that.
We do, because it needs.
Right. We'd like some unique things. There's so many good ones in here, and everyone's a Chamberlain.
Right. Reverend's a Chamberlain, and we need some quelling. We need a calming force.
Especially in Tampa. Did you see what happened after the Super Bowl? They were crazy.
I saw you on video.
That's right. Because I didn't have a mask on, and I got called out, so that was terrible.
That's right. You were the one dude with a creamsicle jersey.
That's right.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. That'd be awesome. So next time on Grog Talk, we will be giving away another exciting prize, whether it's a groggy, from Vic Torso from Angry Dwarf, maybe Keep a Blood Red Falls, or we will be giving away an adventure, one of the great adventures from Castle Entertainment. If you would like to have a chance at winning one of those, become a patron. Go to patreon.com/GrogTalk. That'll happen next time. Swedish Challenge. We're still, we got to the top 200 in the U.S. Did you notice that?
I did. And you know what's interesting is every time I look at those charts, we're always falling. We must be rising at some point. To fall, you must rise. We're always falling. That's
right. That's right. That's right. For a yin, there's a yang, and apparently we yang more than yin, which is too bad. If you want to help us, feel free to go out to iTunes and put a review. It takes a few seconds. We would prefer a 5-star, but if you think we suck and you have nothing better to do and give a bad review, feel free to do that as well. And we will then talk about it on the show. If you don't feel like becoming a patron and spending money because you don't have it, there's a good way to get on the show by going onto iTunes and saying how great we are or how terrible we are. What is the other exciting news? Flipping and Turning, issue 3. Clearly the best work that Rob and the crew have done. An amazing issue is now out. It's out on PDF. can get that from our Discord. Or if you go to editor, you email editor@grogcon.com, you can order your own physical copy, which I'm looking forward to getting. Have you gotten yours yet?
I have not. I got to make arrangements for that. I feel a little safer making arrangements to do that now.
That's right. That's right. We have accepted the microchips in our bodies and going to be commanded by the global conspiracy, and we are now safe. Which I have to give you some things back, so maybe we can arrange all three of us getting together and do a book and magazine exchange.
Okay.
Because I have the module for the Cheetah Foundation, which I voted for Nico the Cheetah as the one we're helping to support, by the way.
Nice.
Since I have a Nico. I also have your J.R. Tolkien 1980 calendar. I really feel like it's not mine. I should be handing that back to you. So it's been here in lockdown. So
are we breaking up?
No, we're not breaking up. But I'm holding your stuff. It's just.
Oh, okay.
It's
well. Do you know how long it's been since I've given Go Delicious a hug?
Yes, well, that's true. We didn't put custody terms because we didn't think it was going to be this long.
That's right.
Well, at some point there may be a reunited. Like I said, I'd have to rearrange my office, but I would be happy to do that if you were so inclined, which would be super fun. Anyway, so we also this month. Hey, the Chamberlain. Speaking of Chamberlain of Australia is on. This month we're doing episode 2 of the GROGTALK adventures. I will be running. I've decided it's going to be an evening game, if that's okay. We'll have to find out. I'll have to check with you and Rob. It'll either be Friday night or Saturday night, the 23rd or the 24th. Friday or Saturday. And we'll do it from like 7 to 11 or something like that. Does that sound okay?
It sounds okay. Because
this will allow some of our people in the West Coast and Asia to play in that case. So, we want to make sure we get people. So if you are a patron, we will be exactly. If you are a patron and you are highest tier, we start with the highest tier. We invite them. We start working our way down. We want to make sure everyone has a chance to play in the campaign. We will continue the adventure that Rob started with from Into the Wild, and I put a lot of time into it, and either it's going to suck really bad or be pretty cool. So there should be no middle ground. Now, with all that said, it is April 1981. What is happening in 1981, Dan?
Okay, so let's start with TV, because I thought this was very interesting. Did you realize that there was a spin-off to the Brady Bunch?
Spin-off to the Brady Bunch. Alice? I know there's an Alice, but it's not the same Alice.
Oh no! She had a diner? You threw me there for a second. Okay. No,
I'm just saying, did Alice, right? She's the maid.
Yes, that would have made sense. You threw me there, and I knew there was a show Alice.
Right.
Well, if that did happen, this is not the one that is airing tonight. Yes, tonight at 8:30 on NBC. Mm-hmm. Anyone out there, anyone in the chat know what the Brady Bunch spinoff that is airing tonight?
Well, let's give them a few seconds. The Brady Bunch spinoff, which is interesting, because by 81, right? Brady Bunch has been off, right?
Correct.
It's been off for a little bit. So
this is correct.
I haven't heard anything. People are, it takes a few seconds delay. So, anyone got anything? Anyone? All right, go for it, Dan.
The Brady Brides.
The Brady Brides. The Brady Brides.
The story of Marcia and Jan's lives as newlyweds with their husbands.
Wow. Marcia.
There was a season. Yes, I had no idea. So yes, tonight, it's been on since February, I believe. So I don't know why we haven't seen it yet. But yeah, so that's showing tonight. Do you know what the number one song? Any guess this week? 40 years ago.
I Love a Rainy Night. I'm going with Eddie Money until I'm right. So
I'll give you a guess. It is a song by the band Blondie.
Heart of Glass.
That's a good guess. Rapture.
Oh, Rapture. That's right. Where she raps. Actually.
I believe it's the first. It ushered in the rap era, didn't it? It was the first rap song.
No, God. No. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay. Here's some.
But yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. If that doesn't prove our whiteness, nothing does. Yeah, that was the first rap song I ever heard. That's right. That would be.
Exactly. That's right.
That would
It's
be
consistent.
awesome. That's
It's
right.
consistent with two guys who'd be having a show about first edition AD&D, isn't
Right.
it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like Pat Boone made rock and roll. That's when the first time I heard, right?
Right.
Tutti frutti, oh Rudy. Tutti frutti, oh Rudy. That's
See, now why doesn't that become a soundbite for the show? That doesn't.
okay. I'll put it.
Okay.
I can't say anything on this show.
Is that there? It is. There's
I can't
one.
say anything on this show.
That's so true. I can't.
That's
March.
one.
March. Okay, that wasn't so bad. We're in that pipe business. March 20th, 1981. The supernatural horror film Blank, starring Sam Neill as the Antichrist, is released.
Sam Neill, the Omen 2?
Very good, close. Omen 3,
3. Ah,
the final conflict. And then, of course, there was Omen 4, the after final, whatever, the overtime.
This is really the end.
Yes, it's like Ozzy. Then you have like No More Tours.
That's right. No More Tours, and that was what, 30 years later, still touring.
Right. On March 21st, 40 years ago, 1981, after 7 years in the title role, Doctor Who actor Blank hands over the part to Peter Davison in the episode Legopolis. You know this is a British, yeah.
Yeah. I'll let some of the people out there. Yes, right. Okay, so they're about 10 seconds behind. So yes, everyone, it was Omen 3. I missed Omen 2. Sam Neill, I knew it was an Omen, but yeah, Sam Neill's the Antichrist. And who would have thought? Was he the guy from Jurassic Park? Was he the one?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Okay.
Right. Correct.
Josh is on. Hello, sir. So you want to know who came after Doctor Who? And I know there's been 100 of them, and
well, you're called the Doctor. The show's Doctor Who. It's the Doctor. Just so yes. Who? Which Doctor?
Tom Baker.
That is correct.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I did not know that. Obviously, I saw what someone told me that. So
on the 25th, the largest bank robbery in the history of Sri Lanka takes place, as a Tamil separatist gang steals approximately $400,000 from an armored car. The only reason I bring that up is it seems to be consistent that we don't have train robberies and bank robberies as much anymore. It was much more prevalent. It's very 80s. March. Okay, ready for? Oh, I've got some very troubling news.
Mm-hmm.
On the 30th, just a few days ago, in Washington D.C., the following president was seriously injured when he was shot in the chest at point-blank range in an assassination attempt by blank.
Well, Hinckley was the assassin.
Correct.
David Hinckley was his name.
John Hinckley.
John Hinckley Minor Swift. His name is my name too, or something like that. And of course,
do you know the president?
Ronald Reagan. I remember.
That is correct.
And it's interesting. I don't just really quite. You know how they always show people like walking by a storefront and they see the TVs and some iconic. For some reason, that is my mental picture of I had seen that where Reagan was shot. You know, as he's pushed into the limousine. That's the image I have. That I'm standing in front of a TV store or whatever, and I see that. I don't know if that's true or not, if that's when the first time I saw it, but that is the memory in my head. It's absolutely ridiculous. But
it's very interesting that you say that, because I wonder if you actually saw that before it happened. And this is why I say that.
Ooh.
You say what? On the 1st, right? So just 2 days ago.
Right.
NBC and ABC TV in the USA. I say that like I jokingly, like we're like they shouldn't say that. Like, hey, we're the USA. Why would you?
This is the first person of everything.
Right. We're very obnoxious. Okay.
Sure.
NBC and ABC TV in the USA broadcast a recording allegedly made in January of a psychic, Tamara Rand, predicting the shooting of Ronald Reagan. That's interesting, right? Ooh. Get ready.
Mm-hmm.
It is later revealed to be a fake recorded after the assassination attempt.
Oh no. That's terrible.
They were taken. On today, 40 years ago, there's only two more. Just sit tight, everyone. Hold on. AD&D's coming. This is the warm-up act. Yes. 40 years ago today, the third, the first commercially successful microcomputer goes on sale in the USA. And I'll tell you, it has the name of a famous heavy metal singer, who we've actually talked about. Well, how on this show today? How odd is that?
Okay, so
The blank first. The first commercially successful microcomputer goes on sale in the USA. You are correct, sir.
I gotta get my ding bell. I don't have it. It's so upsetting.
And the last one.
Exactly.
Tomorrow night. So this is the future. Are you ready for me? You ready to predict the future?
That's right. I need a future one too. In the future. Go ahead.
I've never heard of this. The British band Bucks Fizz.
Bucks Fizz?
It sounds like a porno star.
Oh, here's my. Now, since you said that, here I'm going to give you my other favorite one.
Like a beaver in there? Oh, yeah, I knew it. Oh, I knew it. You're so bad. You go clean your dice, buddy. Your dice are dirty. Okay.
Oh, that's another one.
I can't even talk anymore on this show. I can't say anything. Okay, so Bucks Fizz wins the Eurovision song. Now, that was a big deal. I saw that movie with Eurovision. Oh, know what it is? I've put the volume behind me, and I keep pressing on it, my back.
Oh.
It keeps changing. Okay, Eurovision. That's a big deal over there, James. Do you know that? The Eurovision. It's a big deal.
I've heard of that.
They win the contest. Bucks Fizz wins with the song Making Your Mind Up. I've never heard of it. Making Your Mind Up. Bucks Fizz. That's it.
Dan, everyone's accusing you of day drinking again, by the way, so I'm just letting you know.
Day drinking.
So,
okay.
Well, very good. That was entertaining. I like that. So, the best of 1981, and next time we will do sage advice from April. We have to remind ourselves. In fact, I got to write that down. Sage advice. It's like we plan the show while we're on the show. I know.
Yeah, we have conversations, right? Because we never talk, so we just mention it here. This is our only opportunity.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Buck Fizz was a great band. Thank you. Destined to be one of the greats. See, David is also, besides being the Chamberlain, an aficionado of all things AD&D and Star Wars and Marvel. If you go out his YouTube channel, which I would definitely recommend, he gets a clap for that. He's also a rock and band connoisseur because, obviously AC/DC from Australia, and that's what everyone throws at him at work. And he's like, oh, you should listen to this and listen to that.
Kylie Minogue. Okay. Everyone's doing the locomotion?
Yeah, I guess
so.
Okay. And yeah, it was a big hit with the young kids into the Eurotrash set. So see.
Who was the one? What was the other band? Fields Are Burning. Midnight Oil. Is Midnight Oil Australian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they help the indigenous people. Mm-hmm. I think they're called Aborigine, but I'm always afraid because like we call American Indians and
right.
They're not
more than
Indians.
You did.
Yeah.
More than you did for them.
More than I did for the American Indians? What was I supposed to do? Wow, that is terrible. Thanks.
It's a little late to feel bad, isn't it?
I don't. Okay. Right. I don't even know what to say. Everyone's angry. It's full of hate.
Pent up anger after the pandemic. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. We've got some new information. Actually, our new Master August Majesty, the MAM, or the Greater Queller, GQ. GQ. David
Perfect.
GQ.
Yep.
Says the practice of awarding baronetcies was originally introduced by James I of England in 1611 as a means of raising funds.
So,
the tradition continues. Exactly.
This is awesome. You're James I.
I'm James I.
Weren't you beheaded?
James the Lesser. I don't know.
I think you're beheaded.
Was I?
I'm pretty sure.
There was a couple of Jameses there.
No.
One did the King James Bible. There was that James. I don't know.
Okay.
That's British history. I don't know that. All right. So now we are ready for random encounter, which is not so random. What are we doing today, Dan?
Well, it's a holiday tradition for the King Arthur crowd. Oh, you got peeps. Very nice.
I brought peeps for once. I actually had the food product. I'll be when one of the poor Arthurian knights is about to be killed, he's going to sacrifice one of the peeps to try to get some divine favor.
Nice. Vorpal peeps.
Vorpal peeps. I love it.
So for those of you who are longtime listeners, you may recall that last year we recreated the Monty Python scene with the rabbit. So we are going to do that again. So we are going to have King Arthur's crowd is returning. Last year they did win King Arthur's crowd.
That's actually the wrong one. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but there was a loss. It was not a bloodless victory. Was it Galahad?
Galahad died.
So he's out.
He's not coming back? Oh, okay.
He's dead. No, I think we thought
It's Easter. Everyone comes back. It's resurrection. Come on. It's
okay. Galahad has been resurrected.
Everyone
Okay,
comes
fine.
back.
So what happens is they're going to battle the Vorpal Bunny. Janelle Jaques in the Dungeoneer had stats for the Vorpal Bunny, which we will be using with an adjustment from some of the OD&D stats. So just to remind you, her Vorpal Bunny it's 1 to 4 appearing, which we're going to roll for. AC 0, move 12-20, 3 hit dice. Damage is 1 to 6 plus Vorpal, which we did as I went back and listened to the show, plus 3 instead of plus 2.
Hold on. You get a clap for that. You went back and listened? You get a golf
I
clap.
did.
Very good.
Plus 3 to hit, because that's a Vorpal weapon. And you're paranoid of rabbits for the rest of your lives. So I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but I'd first like to clear up something. So 17 to 20, a natural 17 to 20 severs the head, correct?
Yes. Well, they're in armor, so it's 17. It's whatever it says as the Vorpal sword. We'd have to look that up. Let's do some looking up.
And I'll keep talking while you look that up. I recall it was 17 to 20. And what my question is going to be as you're looking that up is we had the Vorpal Bunny sever Galahad's head.
Yeah, just like the movie, just leaped up and that was it.
Correct, because he got sent up to talk to just a rabbit. I mean, right?
Right.
He ignored all the bones, and now there's Galahad's bones. So do you have to hit? So the bunny needed a 20 because the AC on a lot of these knights is pretty low. And I think the rabbit needed a 20. So if you sever on 17 to 20, but you need a 20 to hit, is 17 through 19 a miss that, had it been a hit, would have been a head severing?
Well, it says here, when a score on the to-die roll as shown below is made, it will sever the neck head of its opponent. And it says here 20 to 23. And it says considers only the sword's bonus of plus 3. So you could infer that if you had more pluses, it could be lower.
Oh wait, but I see what you're saying. No, I think I've just got that totally wrong. That's right, because it's plus 3. So if you need a 20, you get the 17, you get the 20.
Right. But let's say his armor class was so high that he would need a natural 20 and above. Well, then that rule kicks in that Gary has on page whatever.
If you play that rule. Oh, that's right.
Play that rule. Well, it's in the book. It's not if you play that rule.
Well, but I think Gary says it's optional.
Oh my goodness, what are you feeling okay?
No, I'm pretty sure Gary says it's so. By the book it's optional. By the book can be optional, can't it?
Well, let's see.
Many people argue that because they say Gary at the back said their guidelines. So many people say by the book is everything's optional. By the book, we go round and round and round and round.
Yeah, so they said, thus the combat tables could be amended to read like this. That's right. So I'll give you that, but
we didn't. So then that's right. So if you're not using that optional rule, then it would be a 17 would be a hit because it's plus 3 to 20. So I like that rule better. Why should we use that optional rule?
Right.
We're the rabbit.
That's
okay.
Right. We're pro rabbit here.
So people need to pick. I don't know if people have their trusty deities and demigods handy, but players need to. I think we should go whoever picks first, right? We're obviously going to need. And Arthur can't be killed because Arthur.
Yeah, Arthur can't die.
That's Scabbard.
Right.
We ruled that last time.
So
Arthur's not going to die.
Unkillable. Can't be cut by any attack. So unless the bunny is going to bludgeon him to death,
Right. With like a rock.
Or
Dropping it.
he leaps at him, just headbutts him.
Yes.
He could do
flies
that.
into him. That could happen.
Right. So how many were there? 6? How many people? I know we did
Well-
that determination as well. How many people?
Well, I think I think this now, because they're coming back. I say whoever is online now
Okay.
and would like to pick somebody,
All right,
they
yes.
can.
That's exactly right. All right, so if you please look at, you have a few seconds. We didn't prepare people for this, so this is not good. Go to page 17 of your Deities and Demigods, which of course you should have all books ready. If you want to have a night to play, just put the night that you want to play. What are the rules for the Holy Hand Grenade? I'm not sure what the rules for the Holy Hand Grenade are. What did we do last time? Did we?
I don't think we didn't need it last time.
We
didn't
did not
get
need
there.
it. We didn't.
So you'd have to. So this year this is a work in progress.
Right.
So this year, if we get there, James, you would have to decide. I think there was some maybe discussion about that it would be like a. Well, what's explodey in terms of a spell?
It's fireball. It's like a.
Oh, well, it's like flaming oil too.
Or
Can't you have
flaming
like
oil.
flaming oil?
Well, I like. I thought of it more like a necklace of fireballs that you just like pull one off and you throw it at them. Yeah.
But I think you should use the rules for throwing oil.
Oh yeah, because
Right,
it could miss.
the yards and all that business, how far away. But we're ahead of ourselves. But so you'll have to figure that out when we get there.
Right. All right. So Jonathan will be Gawain. So we have Gawain. At least someone is paying attention. Thank you, David.
So
Thank you, Jonathan.
Gawain's going in alone. It's
so far,
Gawain.
So far, Sir Gawain by himself. Good job.
He's like it's like on stripes.
We got 2 people. Sorry, David.
Wow, is Gawain like high in demand?
Yeah.
Is he awesome? 112 hit points.
No.
Oh, my weapon type. I think they always have the same thing, don't they? A bastard sword, a two-handed sword. They can pretty much have anything they want.
Craig is Gareth. The people on the podcast are like, "What are you doing?"
So Gareth of Orkney.
Gareth of
The
Orkney.
Knight of the Many Colors.
The Knight of the Many Colors. I like it.
And they have to choose their weapon.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Choose your weapon.
Why you do it? This is the show.
Yeah, I guess I know. I'm sorry. Don't be. That's right, people. Boo me. I agree. Anything else they need to choose while we're here?
No, just who they are in their weapon.
Shanna is Mordred. If this doesn't compel people to start listening to our show 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays, nothing will. You get to pick your own party member. Can he play the Green Knight? Can he play the Green Knight?
Somebody asked that last year.
I thought
You
we
said no.
I-
You said no last
Yeah,
year.
no one
Who's
could either.
Mordred? I don't see a Mordred. I don't know anything about Arthur other than what I saw.
Because they're not picking from this. So maybe he's one of the less Knight of Quality.
He might be.
Well, we're making him a Knight of Quality if he's not specifically laid out. So.
Okay.
So, they're not really following the rules. They're big rules breakers.
Oh wait, there's Mordred. Indicates a knight of quality.
Yeah. Okay.
The following knights are evil through and through.
Okay, he could be evil. Sure, why not? This thing is gone.
He's tricking King Arthur. Watch out! He attacks King Arthur. He attacks the party.
Right,
He's with the rabbits. Okay.
Oh, he's immune to physical attacks. He says. The Green Knight's immune to physical attacks. David Thompson's Percival.
All right.
Lloyd decided he'll be Lancelot. That's a good choice.
Finally, somebody normal.
Well, he wanted the Green Knight, but he saw this obviously blowing us away. So, Shanna's Garland. Yeah, Shanna's Garland. I think that's
the Invisible Knight.
Yeah,
wow, would always fight invisibly.
Okay, Garland. Okay, great. So, here's what I got. I got Jonathan's Gawain, Craig is Gareth, Shannon is Garland, David's Percival, Lloyd is Lancelot. I will be King Arthur, obviously.
Okay. That makes me the Vorpal Bunnies. And
Right,
I'm rolling now.
You are the Vorpal.
1 to 4. Ready? I'm rolling.
What is this?
It's
for?
again 1.
Oh, was that your hit dice or what was it? Armor class?
No, that's the number appearing.
Oh, only one Vorpal bunny.
It was 1 last year too.
That's
All
good.
right.
Thank
Oh well.
God. All right, so it's we'll give you a surprise because we're
You-
standing around bickering.
What happened was we said last year that you'd walk up to the rabbit, but now do you know? Okay, I need to ask you this.
Yeah.
Is this, are we recreating it, or is this like the second year? Are they coming back?
No, it's like evergreen. It's like Groundhog Day. We don't.
Okay.
It's the same thing over and over again.
Okay.
We have no idea.
Then
That's how we should do it, in my opinion.
then what you said was, because after you fight a vorpal bunny, you're paranoid of rabbits for the rest of your life, but they don't know that.
That's
That's the last year's crowd.
This is because we don't know. There's so many new people here. We have to assume it's evergreen. It's a new thing
Got it.
every time.
So what you said last year was that, Arthur, you sent someone up.
Right. So I'm
'Cause
gonna roll
right
a
in the
D10.
movie,
That's right.
and there was a 1 in 4 chance of surprise is what you gave me, because it
Yeah.
would be so startling.
Exactly. So
And I
first,
think
let's figure out who's moving forward. I think David's the guy. I think David played. Who was it who died? Galahad, and he got killed. So let's see if it repeats. 9. This time it's Lloyd. Lancelot is moving forward.
Okay, so Lancelot is moving forward. I am now rolling. Oh no, he rolls for surprise, right? Lancelot
right.
has to roll a d6,
Yes,
correct?
I'm going to roll for everyone. We can't wait for people to roll. I'm sorry.
Boo.
3.
3. Okay, 3 attacks, but I can roll for me.
Right. So hold on. Let's see. He is Lancelot. He is -3 armor class. And what hit dice is he?
3. I think I need like a 4. Like last year, you said no, not a 4. I need like 20.
Yeah. So same thing. You need if you want to kill, if you want to decapitate, it's 17 and above.
What do I need to hit? 20.
You need a 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm giving you +3 because of your
correct.
vorpal teeth.
Correct. Okay, here we go. Number 18, and I get 3 attacks.
Yes. Well,
I've got an 8. Oh, it's over.
You killed him already. So
Can I keep going?
you know what? I'm gonna let you do a leap, and let's figure out what your dex is 16. Let's say your dex is 16, right?
I'm a 20 movement in the air.
Oh, then you're okay. Roll under. Give me a d20. If you roll under a 19, you're able to leap off Lancelot's decapitated body and strike another knight. So
Yeah, I just like go right through.
it's like you're like a bunny. You're bouncing between them.
Yes. like a pinball.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, I rolled a 1.
Oh yeah.
I should clean out the whole crowd.
All right. So now you have roll a d10 and you'll decide which one you're landing on
Okay. This is fun. I like this game. We should do this every episode. 3.
3, Craig. So Gareth, you have now launched yourself. Gareth, Sir Gareth.
Now wait a second. Oh, he's the Knight of Many Colors. Okay. The young son of King Lot. He served in the kitchens of King Arthur and became the enemy of Sir Kay, who called him Beaumains. He was the most modest of all the knights and used his great fighting skills to help many a lady in distress, especially one Lady Lioness. He was noted for the many colors he used. He's quite a nice chap.
Yeah, he's neutral good, but he's.
Let's get his head.
But you get one attack because this is you had one attack. You killed Lancelot. Unfortunately, unbelievable. Then you leaped onto Sir Gareth, and now you're attacking.
I would love to see Gareth's face as this thing is coming at him. Wouldn't that be great? No, you know what Gareth is saying as he sees him coming at him? You know. It's time for the.
No, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Oh no! I'm sorry. Here he comes. Sorry. All right, here's the roll. Oh, it's a 9.
It's a 9. You miss.
Boo.
So now it's initiative.
Okay.
So I rally my
Declare
knights.
action.
Dear God, they've killed killed Lancelot.
Wait a second. And there's a beheading. I think there's supposed to be a saving throw by King Arthur as to whether to flee.
Oh yes, I have to make a saving throw.
Remember, any beheading.
That's right.
Arthur might panic. I don't know.
That's right. Ooh, what level am I? 14th level paladin. Well, I get +2 to all saves. Right?
I think, is that just because of your paladin-ness? It's a paladin roll.
Yeah.
I don't have to go back to listen to our episode. It sounds accurate.
I barely saved. I needed an 8. I rolled a 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So I saved.
Okay. All right. I am attacking.
Knights! Defeat it! Please!
for who is it?
For Galahad, for Lancelot. Galahad's
For
not-
Lancelot.
That's
Lancelot's gone. Yes, for Lancelot. Oh, he's a lawful good paladin.
Now they're starting. Hey, shouldn't I have gotten a first attack by virtue longer weapon? No, you were surprised.
That's right.
You don't get to do anything.
We're repeating. You didn't know what this thing was. You're just going up to talk to the right. You're going to parlay.
Oh, Arthur has a 19 wisdom. Thank you. See, my team is, they're helping. Initiative. We're all attacking.
What does the 19 wisdom do? It adds to your.
It's to my mental attacks.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. I'm attack. All right.
I rolled a 1.
I rolled a 4.
Okay. You get to roll. Are you going to attack Gareth still, or are you going to leap on to someone else?
I'd like to do a random. Okay. I'm just going crazy.
Yeah. So D10 again.
1.
1. Gawain now. Poor Jonathan. Maybe David will be happy that he didn't pick Sir Gawain, because he could be dead.
Look at this. From 9 in the morning till 12 at noon, Gawain gains in strength. He gets stronger. From 9 to 10, he's a 19. Oh, that's interesting. He's the favorite cousin of King Arthur. This is going to hurt Arthur. He was a revengeful knight and would travel to the ends of the earth to right some supposed wrong done to him or his family. He has a sword, a +2 weapon, Galatine. Okay. Here we go.
Yep.
Oh, it's an 11.
11. Well, you missed. All right. So Sir Gawain gets his attack, and I'm going to figure out his strength. So I'm rolling it. I'm going to see 1 to 3. It's in the morning time.
Okay.
It's not. So he's doing the afternoon. He has his normal strength. So he's going to attack first. You leap at Sir Gawain. Sir Gawain's like, aha! I am going to attack. What's your armor class?
0.
0. Did you know how many hit points you have?
I'm going to roll them up now. And his sword, Galatine. I wonder, or Galatine. I wonder what that dragon says. It can be either one.
I rolled a 20. He's had enough of your shenanigans.
Oh no! Wait, 6, 10, 15. What kind of sword do you think Galatine is?
Well, we're gonna roll percentages. It's 70% chance it's a long sword.
Okay.
Oh wow! It is a. Ooh, I gotta look it up. 96. What is that? Two-handed?
Whoa.
96. 96. Of course, there's more flipping and turning.
But you know, the good news is.
It's a bastard sword.
Oh.
It's a bastard sword. So you.
That's what's wielded by Galahad. I thought.
I think so. Well,
doesn't Galahad wield the bastard sword since he's the bastard son?
I haven't. So you take 5, 6, 7, 10 points of damage.
I'm still alive. I think I said I had 15.
That's right. So
yes,
Sir Gawain was attacked, but he attacked for 10. So now, who's going to attack you next? Let's roll. I'm not going to say they're all going to attack you, because there's still some of them are freaked out. So either Gareth, Garland, Percival, or Arthur. Arthur's going to attack you. He's had enough of this.
Because I attacked his cousin.
Oh, he had 2 weapons. That's his thing. Well, they don't have that in the deities and demigods. You need to talk to Jim Ward and say, there's a whole generation of people who don't realize how that works. Because have you read the Arthurian tales, Dan?
I have not.
And neither have I. Okay. So I'm a 14th level paladin.
So what you're saying is we're uniquely qualified to run this
That's
game.
right. Oh, I may have missed.
Oh, I hope so.
Could that actually have been the case? Oh, he has a +5 sword. No, I
what?
didn't.
No, he's +2. Wait, who is
Excalibur
it?
is a
oh my
+5
God,
sword
it is.
shot.
Yeah, that's Excalibur.
Right.
Oh no.
Yes, I did hit you.
Oh, there's gonna be rabbit blood all over the place. Oh. Just the plus alone kills me.
Yes, you
can roll a 0.
You take 13 points of damage.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot that because they're so high level, Sir Gawain would have got 2 attacks. I didn't even do that. So
I'm like on the ground twitching because I'm not at -10 yet.
That's right.
Bind me.
You're bleeding out. You're bleeding out. You're like.
You're lawful good. You need to bind me.
No.
You're a paladin.
No, I should lay on hands you.
You should. All
Let's
right.
see, you know what? I'm gonna do a reaction roll. Maybe I feel pity on you.
Yes.
Oh, the poor bunny. There's my bad British accent. Even though he's slain Sir Lancelot, he's one of God's creatures. Oh, 87. I'm gonna say you got a favorable reaction.
Okay.
He's gonna lay on hands to you. Now what do? You're at full hit points again.
Oh, well, I'm attacking. What? Oh, why are you so you're lawful stupid? What's your intelligence, Arthur?
I don't know.
18. That's strange. Jim Ward made a mistake. Should be an 8. Drop that 1. All right.
He is. He's like, gather round, knights, even though dear Lancelot is slain. We will talk to this foul bunny and redeem it. It is Easter time. Yes, here.
Okay, all right.
Leaps from the dead.
No, that's fair. We should do a reaction roll for the bunny because you're parlaying now, right?
Right. I'm parlaying.
Okay, so can I roll percentile?
Sure,
I'll roll for the reaction roll. Okay. And he's got a high charisma. He has an 18 charisma.
Yes.
Oh, 61 plus the charisma bonus. I don't know if there's plus 15 or something like that.
That's a lot. 18 is like plus 35 reaction.
I think we may have just actually resolved this dispute. This may be the last time. I think the story ends well. I mean, other than, of course, the decapitation, I think the story ends well.
Other than the decapitation.
So 61, what's a charisma bonus?
First edition.
For the good dead. Reaction roll for charisma is plus 35. So what did you roll?
Oh my, 61.
So that's 96.
Oh my goodness.
That's got to be good.
Well, yeah, I'm like immediately your friend or something. Or I'm like,
flipping.
I'm your
page 63 of the Dungeon Masters. What do you say, 96?
Yeah.
Enthusiastically friendly, immediate acceptance.
Oh, so I'm like a knight of the round table. I'm the bunny of the round table. Okay. Oh, James, that was wonderful.
Wasn't that great?
We don't have to, I think we put it to an end here. We're not, this is it. We're done with this. Yeah.
And with that, we're going to celebrate by eating peeps.
I'm really sorry about. Yeah, then they eat them. Yeah. So 3 hours later, it's a rabbit stew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry about killing Lancelot, King Arthur. Do you forgive me? Let's take his head back and turn him into a. We should turn him into a zombie.
Maybe they can stitch it back on.
Yeah, sure. Take his head.
Wow, that peep is good. That's some good peeps.
Peeps are good, but your peep pleasure goes up, and then the more you have, it starts going down, down. Okay.
That was, and it's you can just see the powdered sugar in this thing. So every time Dan says something that's super funny, I'm gonna eat a peep. That's gonna be it's like the drinking game, the peep game.
Oh, okay. I'll try to say something funny.
I can't say anything on this show.
So.
Okay. So a guy walks into a bar with a dog. And he says, "Hey." He says, "Hey, my dog can talk." And he goes, "Look. Ask him what is on the outside of a tree." So the guy goes, "Okay, what's on the outside of a tree?" And the dog goes, "Bark, bark." He's like, "Oh, that's really funny." He's like, no. Seriously. He's like, ask him who's the greatest baseball player of all time. He goes, "All right, who's the greatest baseball player of all time?" And the dog goes, Roof. It's like, okay, that's really funny, guys. Get out of here. Get out of my bar. So they walk out. The guy and his dog are standing there, and the dog looks up to the guy and goes, "DiMaggio?" I didn't get a peep. All right, no peeps for James. Sorry.
Well, I gotta pace my peep. I'm not a diabetic, but based on the first peep I had, I gotta be careful. Consuming
that's
peeps.
true. That's true. Okay.
It's gonna have to be dice cleaning Vic level stuff. So, well, very good. Thanks to all who played along with this. Of course, people were very unhappy that. They were. Well, that's true. So Jonathan said because he went under 0, he wouldn't have been able to attack for 1 week because.
That's true. He needed a week of rest. Well, that's why I didn't attack.
That's why your reaction.
I'm not stupid.
The dice don't lie. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
We don't know why things happen, but we just know that the dice don't lie.
Right.
The bunny knew that he couldn't make an attack. He's biding his time.
Oh, wait. Can I roll? Can we go back in time? I need to roll for divine intervention to see if some godling comes and kills them all. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Nope. 27. All right. See.
The world is happy with this. And The bunny's biding his time. Basically, he's waiting for the week
Yeah.
to go by, and then he's gonna.
And he's really hoping that this quest they have brought rations with them, because they're gonna start looking at this rabbit.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
that was awesome. So I must see. Okay, there's a peak game. Okay, I'm just reading some of the chats.
Hopefully Gollum's not nearby.
No.
He likes rabbits.
He does like rabbits. Righto, rabbit stew coming up. Perfect. All right, excellent. So, and of course, there's people and Menion has, our dear friend from Japan, has read Le Mort d'Arthur, which sounds long.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I read The Hobbit, and I considered myself pretty happy that I read it. I'm like,
yeah,
this was long.
You looked at, and then you showed Lord of the Rings, like, oh my gosh.
No,
it's too long.
It's not happening. So with that, we now go to Miscellaneous Magic.
So this is the segment of the show where we roll up a random magic item and we talk about it, because we love talking about a +1 dagger. So there's so much you can talk about with it. I believe we're in the 70s, aren't we? No, where are we? No, we're much further.
It's like 100 and something.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
121.
Thank you. What was I thinking?
Of the Dungeon Master's Guide.
I was in combat. Okay. I see. We're on table 3, correct?
Yes, table 3.
Okay. Would you like to roll?
No, I would like you to roll.
You're very kind. Sometimes I feel like I'm monopolizing the die rolls. Okay. 47. It's a Miscellaneous Magic table E1.
Perfect. Good job. See, that's why I would have rolled the scroll like we did last time.
You know about E1. Okay, here it is. All right. I'm rolling again on
roll
E1.
17, which would be Artifact or Relic, which remember we went back and forth on, so yes.
That is so awesome. Yes, because we decided that you could find in just like a little whatever fire beetle layer. Well, that's like finding the ring. I'm sure we're repeating ourselves. I'm rolling.
Yep.
6.
Ah.
Oh my.
Oh, there we go.
Do you know this? The dice don't lie, because Stephen Marsh has done a lot of work on planar travel.
Yes. When we tell our listeners what we rolled.
We rolled this. We rolled the Amulet of the Plains.
Amulet of the Plains. Today's the exciting. People. So they are responding to my comment that the Arthurian Tales of Knights or whatever Arthur is very long, and they're like basically trashing us because we're Americans. So
wait, why? How did I get involved in this? They're lumping Americans together.
That's right. Well,
all right. You're known by your associates. Amulet. Oh, look, there's more. James, I'm startled. There's more dice rolling to be done, apparently.
Wonderful.
So the Amulet of the Plains. I'm on page 137 of the DMG. I know nothing about the Amulet Plains. Do you, James?
I think didn't we give that out to someone had the Amulet of the Plains recently, but go ahead.
The Amulet of the Plains is a device which enables the individual possessing it to transport himself or herself instantly to or from any one of the upper levels. Oh, here we go again. Upper levels of the...
God, no.
Yes. Yes, exactly. The upper level. James, you're going to have to handle the discussion with Mr. Marsh on the planes, okay? Because, my head just can't... I'm not good with it. I'm not good with the planes.
This is so first edition.
It is. Okay, upper levels of the outer... Oh. So, okay, James, hold on. You'll be proud of me. So I know the outer planes, that's all that business where you take... Hold on. You take the astral plane to the outer planes. Yes. And now there's upper levels. Now I do know that the lower level...
Already, Dave, it's like ask Dan about the ethereal plane.
It's everywhere. It surrounds. It's there surrounding you, and there's gorgons there. Right?
That's right. Gorgons and,
Is that right?
and Medusa are just
I don't want to be in the ethereal plane. So what the upper levels? Now I know there's the lower planes of hell, right? Things like that. Okay. So what are the upper levels? Just like the top level then? So basically you drop off at the entranceway, off the exit ramp, the ethereal plane. So in other words, you can't just dive down and deep. So you're just going to be, it's like a slide. You're going to be taken right to level 1, right?
That's right. It's the ground floor, no pun
Right.
intended, of the building known
It's
as
got
the
like
plane.
the star. It's the one on the elevator. It's got the star next. Did
That's
you
right.
know
It's
that?
the lobby.
Star is, right. It's
Let's
the lobby.
all go to the lobby.
Well,
That's right.
no, James, don't do that. We're gonna get banned again.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's not good. That's
No.
that's right. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that.
So you can go to the lobby of any of the outer planes. Okay, that's
right.
pretty cool. I like that. This travel is absolutely safe.
Which
so
is
in other words,
shocking. That to me is the most important thing. And I think Amulet of the Plains, I think there may have been one in the G series or D series. That's where I think I remember seeing that because someone got one and they're like, what am I going to use this for? I'm like, it's because it's amazing.
So you can have more than, so there's more of these, there's a lot of these amulets floating around. So
You
this
could
is
be
not
like one of the, you could be like a Blondie when you're singing your rap song and have just a whole bunch of amulets of the plains.
Very cool. Okay.
Now,
and it's absolutely,
just to show you, because I know this is probably dumb for me, but I'm showing on page 115. It's also in the Player's Handbook. This is the outer planes, and see, you go to the first plane, and then this. So, like the abyss, you land here, then you have to descend into the abyss.
right. So if we wanted to go to like 663 of the abyss, we'd have to
Well, that's
like
what we were
figure out how to
doing. We
get
were
there.
figuring out how to get there, and it was so
Got it.
painful. Yep, that's
Got it.
exactly right.
And it's absolutely safe, so I don't have to take the dangerous ethereal plane, which is nice. I don't have to take I-4, okay?
Right. Well,
But
and you don't have to take the astral plane, which is also dangerous. Everything is dangerous.
oh,
about
sorry,
that.
I meant the astral. That's what I meant, actually, yes. I don't have to take the astral plane. But until the individual learns the device, oh, I got to learn it, transport will be, oh, Gary, I love it. I love the random. So until I figure out how to do it, I just end up anywhere? That's horrible. Roll D6, 1 to 3, do not add 12. 4 to 6, add 12.
Right. It's the same thing we do.
Okay. To 12 for, oh, it's a 1 to 24. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it.
So roll a D12 and a D6. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's
Where
see
are we
where
going?
we're going. Exactly.
Let's do it. All right. All right, D12. You don't use a D12 that often.
No.
Okay, here, right? Okay. I rolled a straight up 5. Oh, the Happy Hunting Grounds.
Happy Hunting Grounds. We're off to the Happy Hunting Grounds.
Is that chaotic good?
I feel
What's
like
Happy
it
Hunting?
is.
That's nice.
We should ask, what is the Happy Hunting Grounds?
Oh, why did the 9 hells get 2? That's so rude. Oh, and the abyss is, that's mean. So 7 heavens have 2, but the abyss and the 9 hells? The prime material plane? Wait, why am I going to the prime material plane?
Well,
That's not an outer plane.
You can have the alternate ones.
Oh, because that's not an outer plane, is it?
Right.
Is it an outer? It's an inner plane, right?
Yeah, but you would need to be able to get back. That's the idea.
Oh my gosh, you mean I'm bouncing around like the rabbit?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you're right. Like I'm just like keep using it.
Right.
So I'm like, you're in the abyss. Ah, it's like a movie. You're like, oh my god, right? And then you use it again. Zoom.
That's right.
Okay.
Wayne's World. Boom, boom, boom.
Right. Okay. So we're in the Happy Hunting Grounds. Oh, and then you go to the ethereal, the astral, the prime, earth. Okay. So how do I learn to use it? Right. I have to. Is there a manual?
Of the planes. There is a manual of the planes, but I don't know if that'll help you.
No, right? Because it says I have to learn it.
Isn't there a manual of the planes? Or did I just make that up? Oh, Manual of the Planes is the book.
It's a book.
It's a book that we have. That's right.
It's the book you have.
Grubb made, right? Grubb. What's his first name?
Yes, Jeff Grubb.
Jeff Grubb, thank you.
Not Steve Marsh. We'll not talk about that. Stephen Marsh was gonna do. He was collaborating with Gary.
Yeah.
On a Manual of the Planes, and it didn't happen. And Jeff Grubb did it. So okay, so this is kind of cool. So can I take people with me if they're holding on? So I've got all sorts of questions because I want my party to come along. So can I bring people?
That is also a very good question.
We don't know. I guess this is like,
it says the individual, we have to read it as it says, possessing it can transport himself or herself instantly. So what I would do, what people do is they take a bag of holding or usually a portable hole. They throw the party members into the portable hole, and then the person does the manual, and then that's what the strike team.
right.
That's what we used to do. That's what my party did when someone gave out a portable hole. That was your friend Ed.
Now we're arriving. now arriving in the abyss.
That's
right?
right.
So you like arrive, right, in the portable hole, and you can kind of like you open it. It's like an airport, and you've landed.
Well, but
Come on, guys, we're at the abyss.
But it's very dangerous to do that because they also want to know, David and Menyon want to know if you have enough room at your house if they come for GrogCon.
I'll get back to them.
Wow,
I'm kidding.
That's horrible. Boo, boo, Dan. They're coming from Asia, and you're and
Yes.
Australia. You're not gonna have room for them.
Of course they can.
Actually, Menyon and David, if you whoever the farthest person who came to GrogCon, I almost feel like we would figure something out for that.
Yes.
If you left your home country to come here, we could figure something out. We'd either get them accommodations or they could stay with one of us.
They can stay at my house as long as they're not allergic to cats. They wouldn't want.
Well, that's what they said. You have as long as you're not allergic to cats. Which, by the way, we need to get some pictures of your foster cats. We're deciding to do a patron find familiar, we're going to call it. You can sponsor a cat through Patreon. You can set up a separate account. If that's something you're interested in, put something in the chat. You'd be like $2 or $3 a month, and you could name the familiar to find familiar. Dan does love you. He just loves his cats more than you, Menyon.
I was actually thinking about I would need to consult with my spouse, of course. Okay, that's really what I was thinking about. I mean, obviously, I'd more than welcome them. I just, before I invite a house guest, it seems it should be a joint decision.
Well, Menyon loves cats, number one. Number two, the last time, I'm just saying, now this may be controversial. The last time someone was supposed to stay at your house, and they didn't stay at their house, whose house did they stay at?
They stay at your house.
That's right.
Oh, yes. Of course you guys can stay at my house. The more the merrier.
Exactly. That's what it was supposed to be. They were staying at your house, and then all of a sudden, they're staying at my house.
Yeah, so yes, you absolutely, please, I encourage you. Yes, David, you can come. Menyon, please. And actually, okay, ready for this? My wife would like to meet Menyon. She's a fan.
She is?
Yes.
Really?
Well, she listened to, I had his podcast going, and she heard it, and she loved his voice, and she was immediately trying to identify, because my wife is a bit of an Anglophile, and she was immediately trying to identify where he was from originally in England, if I recall. So
he's got an interesting background. So
yes, because he has a little bit of Scottish going on there too.
Yes, that's my understanding via Canada. Again, another shameless plug. We talked about David. Menyon has a wonderful podcast, Confessions of a Wee Timorous Bushy, on Anchor, which is a wonderful podcasting community.
Do you know? And so, as you know, I sent you this thing where is this computer program? Yep.
Right.
This computer program, so we could sound to change our voices to sound British, because I figured, all the best podcasts, right? I mean, Grognard Files wins the best, podcast. We were almost nominated, right?
Almost. We were almost nominated.
Almost nominated. So I wanted us to be British. I figured that was our way to be more popular. And I sent you this computer program, and I don't know if you realize this, it was an April Fool's joke. It was not real.
What's that?
The program, I sent you that link about a program.
Oh, that was fake, yeah.
I
find one I thought I got a voice changer.
Well, if you can find a voice changer to make us sound British, I would really want you to do that. I think it's really our only chance at this point. Okay.
Welcome to GrogTalk.
And just to warn you, if we're doing Bard infiltrating, we got to get going. This thing is enormous, the background.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I need to.
Well, I just wanted to warn you. It's really long.
Oh, I don't have British here, but I have helium.
Welcome to GROGTALK. Welcome to GROGTALk.
So it'd be like the Chipmunks.
Yeah, I guess. I need to find a British one. But that one was fake. That would be great.
That was fake.
And yes, I have an ancient book of my mother's recipes, unfortunately, who got it from her mother, and it says things like add salt, like in the recipe.
Yeah, I'm familiar with these. Yes.
So how much salt? So now I have to try to emulate the size of a 4'5" Greek woman, my grandmother, and try to figure out what the volume of salt, because I'm sure she pinched.
What are you talking about? Where did I miss something? Why are we talking about you cooking?
Minion asked, "Does James do Greek food or is that ethnic
Oh.
profiling?" So
Oh.
I've made leg of lamb, which is like kind of the standard thing, and some other Greek food, but the recipes literally say pinch of salt, so that I'd have to figure
Right.
out.
Well, there are measuring spoons that actually will have a pinch, a dash, a smidgen.
But they're American ones. This is
That's
Greek.
true.
I have to emulate a small 4 foot. I think she was like 4'5" when she.
Oh, like her
passed.
pinch, like how much her pinch would be, like her
Right.
finger sizes.
Right, exactly. It's got to like
Whatever,
gnome
right.
size. I need a gnome.
Right.
I
You
need
should have
something
kept
so-
them. You could have kept her fingers as like little. All right, that's wrong. I'm sorry, James. That was rude. Yeah, that was rude.
Talking about my
Withdrawn.
dead
Withdrawn.
grandmother.
Withdrawn.
It's very sad. Okay.
It
no.
is.
Well, maybe we'll go dig her up. That she's in St. Pete, so we can. That could be could be one of our trips if you'd like.
Well, okay.
Do you have a crowbar? She's in a mausoleum, so we need.
Is she really?
Yes.
You come for money? What?
I don't know. They wanted to be buried above ground. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you?
Okay. All right.
At least that's what they said. That's another story
Mm-hmm.
that I have to say, but I'm not going to say it now because it would make me a little sad. So I'm not. I don't want to be sad today. So.
Okay.
But it is hilarious. I'll have to tell you offline. Okay.
Okay.
Goat is delicious. Goat is delicious. I think.
Go delicious.
Go delicious. Exactly. So we did miscellaneous magic, which was Amulet of Planes. It's the problem with the planes, of course, is if you're low level and you get this, you're probably instantly dead. But it's a really cool thing. It could be the centerpiece of a great campaign. It could be the whole campaign. It's just using the Amulet of the Planes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so now we're on to have we ever played a bard while dancing in the moonlight, whatever we call it.
Do you know how long it took us to do the last one? When I listened to last year's episode, the Easter special, we were doing the Have You Ever Been a Gnome Illusionist? And that we just finished that.
Gnome Illusionist or the Wizard?
Oh, no, you're right. We did do one in between. I forgot. So, no, it wasn't that bad. So now we're moving on to Have You Ever Played a Bard Infiltrating the Assassin's Guild? So for those of you who are new to the show, this is a segment where we go through basically a quiz, nothing says fun like a quiz, an AD&D quiz from First Encounter magazine, which was published by our friend Kelly Villamere in the early 80s out of Canada, and you are going to get to each episode state, it's basically choose your own adventure, what you're going to do. So here we go. The Have You, this is Kelly's intro, the Have You, which will appear in almost every issue of this magazine, is a quiz designed to test your skill as a fantasy role player, plus to test your knowledge of AD&D rules, monsters, etc., as per the TSR handbooks. This mini tester quiz offers adventure in various caverns, rooms, or wherever, where you are to choose what seems to be the best decisions on handling your type of encounter. In certain cases, your best choice may be one which will minimize the damage taken, but cannot prevent damage altogether. In every issue, we hope, we'll have this mini test using different races and character classes where you decide the fate of your player. How to play is simple. Pick the best choice for every situation, then check the answer sheet to see what is the result of your choice. Good luck, Kelly P. Villamere. So, okay, so this is for Bard, and so keep your stats, because you got to remember your hit points. We are North Runner, James. We are all North Runner. Okay? That's our character. We are neutral good. And is there alignment restrictions on bards? I thought you had to be lawful. No, you have to be neutral somewhere? Or
Yeah,
I thought you had to be lawful.
I think you can't be not lawful.
Oh, yeah? What's going on? Okay. And
I'll look it up. Go ahead, keep going.
And just to let everyone know, this segment is optional this time.
Right,
because
this is
it's bards.
Yeah, bards are optional. You don't have to
do it. So you're a fighter, thief, bard. We are level 7, 8, 12. That's pretty high. We're up to 12th level
They
bard.
must remain neutral. That's what they have to be. But they can be chaotic, evil, good, or lawful if they wish.
So you could be a neutral evil bard.
You could be.
Okay, that'd be very cool. We are a neutral good bard. We are wearing leather armor. We have a cloak +2. The only supplies you have is 50 feet of rope and a water skin. We have a +3 broadsword, 2 throwing daggers, 16 strength, 14 intelligence, 17 wisdom, 18 dex, 12 con, 17 charisma. Magic items. What is this? A Canaith, Canaith, a Canaith mandolin. Is that a magic? Is that cure serious wounds? Dispel magic, protection from lightning 10 feet, radius 1/day each. So is that a magic item? A Knaith mandolin?
I assume it's a special instrument. Yeah, I think. Where is that? Didn't we see that?
Oh, this is going to take complicated. We don't know anything about bards,
No,
James.
we know nothing about bards because they're optional.
We don't use them. So what you look up to see if you can find anything about the Knaith mandolin, the spells you have are Fairy Fire, 2 of them, Entangle, Detect Snares and Pits, Speak with Animals, Cure Light Wounds, Obscurement, Warp Wood, Call Lightning, Cure Disease, Tree, Neutral Tree.
Oh, so okay, so page 148 is the Knaith mandolin. You look that up. I'm going to be right back.
Okay.
I didn't realize we were going here. Hold on.
What page? Oh, is it on the DMG?
DMG.
148. Got it. Knaith mandolin. Oh, there it is. So the mandolin is 70% likely to cause 5 to 20 hit points of damage upon any non-bard or bard under the 11th level who attempts to utilize its powers by playing it. An 11th level or higher bard. Oh, that must be why this bard Northrunner is level 12. So we can use this thing. An 11th level or higher bard is able to employ the instrument to add 25% to his or her charming ability and also to cast the following spells once per day. That's where this comes from. Cure Serious Wounds, Dispel Magic, and cast protection from lightning in a 10-foot radius. So it is just describing what the Knaith mandolin does. Special abilities, you have Charm 53% plus 25% with the mandolin for a total of 78%. Legend lore is at 45%. We can also transform into a bird, reptile, or mammal 3 times a day. Note, you may use the cure spells or any curative at your discretion after each encounter. Cure light wounds, 6 hit points are restored. Cure serious wounds, 14 hit points are restored. So that is Northrunner. Here then is the background and your first choice. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in.
Is that so? Did we learn something cool about the mandolin?
Yeah, so the mandolin it allows us to cure serious wounds, dispel magic, and protection from lighting 1 time per day. So and you got to be 11th level bard. So you got to be pretty high level. And you know what's great about it is, oh no, wait, that's the loot.
That's what I got to do now. I got to play the mandolin when we do it.
That's awesome.
There you go. So.
Very cool. Very cool.
Since it's a mandolin, I don't know how to play it, but I can just.
But you have hold it up. Can I see it? So you have the you have a mandolin.
This is a mandolin. Yes.
Very nice.
There you go. Happy.
Wait.
Happy
Can you play like mob rules on a mandolin or something? Like play some metal on a mandolin.
Okay. Breaking the law. Breaking the law. Breaking the law, breaking the law.
There I was, completely wasted. Out of something town.
There you go. That's
I wonder if that is the first time in the history of the world that Breaking the Law has been played on a mandolin. Possible, right?
So the guitar, the fret, the way the strings are done, they're actually upside down of a guitar. So I have to like translate everything from guitar to a mandolin. So this is E, this is A, this is D, this is G.
It's like driving in England.
Yes, it's like driving in England if I were to do that. So that's right. So.
Okay, well, that was very cool. So you have the Knaith mandolin.
Yeah, so this is my Knaith mandolin. This is actually cheap Ibanez one, because I'm not good enough to warrant an expensive one. But if I have to cast a spell, now I'm ready to do that.
You are. You are a bard. You're a real life bard.
Why do I have an instrument you can't play? Well, I can sort of play it.
Didn't you hear Breaking the Law? Did they not hear that?
That's right. Oh, I should learn Spinal Tap on it. That's right. Very good. So I'm ready.
You can play. You're going to play that at GROGTALK.
If people are so drunk that they want to hear me play a mandolin at GROGTALK, I'd be happy to do that.
You should at least play our theme song from the beginning of the show.
Ooh,
You wrote that, right?
That's right. I did write that.
Pelennor?
Yes, I'm gonna the Fate of Pelennor. I'm gonna work on that while you do your introduction.
Okay.
So do the introduction. I got to figure it out. So you're gonna do the.
I'm going to read the introduction. Here we go. And this is by John Fraser. As you walk through the gates of the city of Orlo, that's interesting. Orlo is from was it Bill Summers had Orlo, Orlo's Magic Inventions, I believe. Your rumbling stomach informs you of your hunger. Food is plentiful in this settlement, but to get food you need gold. And juggling from the intensity of the hunger pang, I'm thinking Bard, juggling. And judging from the intensity of the hunger pangs you're suffering from, you'll need a lot of gold. Unfortunately, you have no gold on your person, but you do have your mandolin, which was awarded to you for achieving the highest grades in your college last year. So you step into the nearest tavern and find a place to sit down. You clear your voice and strum your instrument a few times. People in the tavern begin to gather around, and a song lifts from your lips, backed by the enchanting melody emanating from your mandolin.
There you go.
Your song carries through beautifully as usual, and the people applaud with vigor. The people applaud with vigor. Coins. I hope do you have coins tossing noise? You do. That's right. Sort of. Coins are tossed to your feet in appreciation of your service. This is going very well. I don't think anything bad is going to happen in this.
Exactly.
You begin to count the reward as people disperse back to their tables. I got a bad feeling, James. 79 gold pieces. What a take. And for one song, too. As you begin to decide what to order, an elderly gentleman approaches you. This is like one of my things that I would write. It's like going on forever. With anxious eyes, he seats himself at your table and begins to speak. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are not a bard. Oh, are you not? Sorry. You are not. Are you not? I should have read this last night. Correct me if I'm wrong, but are you not a bard? I thought it was going to take an interesting twist. You're not a bard, are you? You're a phony. You nod your head in reply. Then, bard, you're in the best position to help me. My name is Katil, and I am the merchant chancellor of this city. Did you hear that? The merchant chancellor of this city. Only a few days ago, my daughter, oh no, here it comes. What happened, do you think, to his daughter, Aurora, James?
Dead?
Oh.
Kidnapped.
Of course, kidnapped. It's the beginning of every adventure. Aurora was kidnapped by members of the Assassin's Guild. Why are they, should they just kill her?
Kill, right.
You're right. You're thinking Assassin's Guild.
They branched out. They're now assassins and kidnappers.
That's right, yes. We don't just kill anymore. Yeah, the economy's down, and they're branching out. Okay. I appealed to the city governor for help, but he refuses to interfere with the operations of the guild. The guild master has sent me a message telling me to give the guild control over the trade of this city, or my daughter will die by slow torture. Okay, I like this guild. They're good, don't you think?
Yep, they are good.
They are branching out. It's like the mafia.
That's right. Murder Incorporated is not as good as they're branching out to kidnapping.
Yeah,
full service.
Well, to take over they're going to take over the merchant trade here. I've spoken to countless mercenaries in the past week, but all are afraid of opposing the guild. I have but 2 more days of grace before I must give my answer to the guild master. I now ask you, beg of you to help me by rescuing my daughter from the clutches of those criminals. You look at Katil with experienced eyes and see that he is indeed speaking the truth. As you begin to ponder the merits of helping the old man, he adds, I could make you a very rich man, bard. This makes up your mind, and very quickly you accept the job. Besides, you never did like assassins. You glance over the merchant's shoulder and see a dark figure beating a hasty retreat out of the tavern. A spy? Oh well. There's nothing much you can do about it now. The merchant buys you. Yeah, he really should have taken you to the back or something, shouldn't he? He's just talking out in the open? Okay. The merchant buys you a filling meal, and you set out into the cool early evening air with a clear, cloudless sky, pondering on where the best place to start looking for clues to lead to the Assassin's Guild is. As you walk down the cobblestone street, A tall, handsome individual approaches you. He carries a sword by his side and is wearing... Your playings make me laugh. It is inspiring me to like make it more story-like, though. Okay, let me... So, as you walk down the cobblestone street, a tall, handsome individual approaches you. He carries a sword by his side and is wearing leather armor and a cloak. When he sees you, he smiles and walks over. Now that he is closer, you see a lute slung over his back. Another bard? Well, why not? In any case, you could use the company. The other bard speaks first and says, "Greetings, friend. My name is Procyon of the Klee College." You return the greeting by saying, "And greetings to you, Procyon. I am Northrunner of the Knaith College." Procyon smiles and says, "Where are you headed? I have heard rumors of your deal." Boy, word spread fast, didn't
Wow.
it? Right? People, well, the guy ran out. I mean, yeah. Would you like some assistance at this friendly offer? Okay, here we go, James. It's time for our choices. So we Northrunner have been approached by Procyon and offers assistance.
That sounds like a drug. Procyon should be only given
Procyon.
to
It's like a balm.
Yeah,
Balms
it's a
can be very
Procyon.
unpredictable.
Right.
Procyon. Put on Procyon. Okay. So A1. Proceed to waste. And James, try not to die in the first room. All right. The first segment. Okay.
Yep.
Do we know how many hit points we have? Did I say? Where was that?
Probably like 400. Oh, Bard.
100. Yes, 105.
That's what I was going to say. Bards won't. Jonathan says bards won't associate with other bards until 23rd level. That's the answer.
Oh, he gave away. Oh, you gave away. Oh, he shouldn't. Oh, you're cheating, James. You cheated.
Should have kept that to yourself. Okay, what's the answers? What's the choices?
Okay, one was proceed to waste this presuming goon with your sword. Okay, so just attack the guy.
Right,
Two.
One is attack. Yep.
Cast control temperature. Are you cold? A 10-foot radius and fry him by raising the oh my god, that's disgusting. And fry him by raising the temperature 150 degrees. You can do what is that? That's disgusting.
I don't think that's possible, but okay.
Bards? Maybe. Yeah, well, is it called light? I think it's called lightning.
Control temperature.
So we control temperature for you control temperature for you 10 foot. Maybe this is going to give us a new appreciation for bards, James. Maybe this is what Kelly was thinking.
Right.
So you can control the temperature around you, and then you call lightning.
I guess.
Okay.
These are all.
Wow.
This is all news to me. So.
3, attempt to charm him with your singing and suggest that he should kill himself. This is a very dark. John Frey, we need to have this guy in the show. This is very dark. Okay. Will people kill themselves with suggestion? I don't think they will, but it's my guess. I don't think so. 4, trust this brave, kind fellow and let him help you. James, you should do 4. Okay? Trust this brave fellow. 5, let him help you, but stay wary with your hand on your sword hilt. 6, cast obscurement and escape. 7, cast entangle on him and make him talk. Oh, that's interesting. 8, call lightning and blow him away. So I don't know how this was different. I don't know what control temperature is. Somebody needs to help us. 9 is cast fairy fire and attack him with your sword. 10 is throw a dagger at him and then run. Okay, so there it is. 1, waste him with your sword. 10, cast control temperature, 10-foot radius. So someone need to look up a control temperature. What spell is that? Bards don't have special spells, do they?
Well, they become druids. They have access to druid spells.
So this is druid. So this would be a druid spell.
I think.
We don't know what we're doing.
This is not new for us. We don't.
Yeah, but this is important, James, because we need to learn about druids. I think.
Not really.
I think
they're optional. That's like I went my whole life without reading the Arthurial Knights, and I learned everything I needed to learn from the deities and demigods. The only reason it's not good is because people have actually read it.
You know what is going to happen here? So James and Dan did a podcast to teach others about first edition, but in the end, they learned something about themselves.
This is so first
That's
edition.
right. That's exactly right. I should play over that.
Okay, control. There it is. It's a 4th level druid spell, James. Control temperature is a 4th level druid spell. So I'm flipping and turning.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone found it yet? Okay, hold on. There it is, and it's short, James. It's on page 59 of the player's handbook. When this spell is cast by a bard, the temperature surrounding the bard can be altered by 9 degrees Fahrenheit per level of oh my gosh, this is disgusting, James. Per level of experience of the spellcaster, either upwards or downwards. Thus, a 10th level druid could raise the surrounding temperature from 1 to 90 degrees or lower it by 1 to 90. The spell lasts for a number of turns. Oh my. Upwards or downwards?
But 150 degrees won't fry him. He'll just be hot. He's not going to die from it.
Fry! And he's just like, are you hot? Are you warm?
It's like, it's really hot. I mean,
fry!
It's not even boiling water. It's like
you got
Death Valley hot.
What does it say? It says, oh, wait a second, James. Wait, but it says by raising it to 150. Hold on. Okay.
So I guess he's claiming that the temperature is 60 degrees now, and he's going to raise it.
It's 9 degrees per level of the spellcaster.
Level. That's right.
So do I get to count as an 11th?
Yeah,
so I get to count as that level?
Yeah, you're 11th level bard.
Oh, okay. So I can go to 150.
Right. Okay. With 150, that's hot, but you don't fry people with that. I don't think. It's not even oven. I mean, that's like.
Let's keep warm. All right,
that doesn't even cook chicken. Remember, chicken has to be internal temperature of 165.
It's not safe. The person's not even safe to eat.
You can't eat him.
You can't even eat the dude. He's just dangerous. Okay. Well, maybe that's the point. Maybe he's testing to see, like, do you know that that's okay? But it would be pretty uncomfortable. 150 degrees, though.
Yes, it would be uncomfortable.
It would be really uncomfortable. I would definitely run away from that bard. I'm going to do it because I think it's pretty cool.
But it also doesn't make it. It sounds like it affects him too. When the spell is cast by the druid, in this case bard, the temperature surrounding. So he'd be hot too. So that.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's a terrible idea. It's not really an offensive spell.
Right.
I don't know what does it do. What's
well,
the
if you're
point of
super
this?
cold or hot, you can reduce the temperature.
Right. So it's not
your
meant
own air
to be.
Conditioning.
It's not meant to be as Stephen Marsh would tell you. It's not meant to be a spell like our artillery.
Right.
It's not artillery.
It's not artillery.
It's like you're uncomfortable. It's like you're having a fight with your spouse over the temperature, and you raise it up, or you go somewhere and you're cold, you're drafted. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And so Johnson, like a fever of 120. Yes, if you had a fever of 120, but you're not going to get a fever of 120 in 40 minutes or whatever this is.
Well, well, wait a second. It just raises the temperature around you, though. It doesn't make your internal temperature, right?
Yeah, it's like the temperature out. It doesn't make everything 150 degrees. It just says,
are you in like a microwave?
Right. It's not a microwave. Yeah.
Well, why? No. Yeah. So it's just 150.
These players, they was like, I want everything to be 150 degrees. Well, then
but
you're
wait a
150
second. Yeah, but wait a second. 150 degrees? I mean, aren't you gonna? Can you survive at 150 degree temperature? What happens to you?
It's hot. You're hot.
Well, I think you're understating it a little. I mean, 104 is hot. 150? 150. I don't know.
People
that you
have
die.
been Death Valley is 130. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. You're really uncomfortable. Oh, but that would be a funny spell though. Like the guards are standing there, and you're behind the tree, and you make it 150 degrees.
Yeah. So for 2.5 hours, you're cooking people. But my opinion is you're cooking yourself. It doesn't say it precludes you from the temperature.
Wait. Is there an area of effect?
Yes.
Can I cast it from a distance?
Well, control temperature 10-foot radius is what I was looking at. 4th level druid, right?
Yeah. So what is it? What's the range? Do I have a range?
0. It's right on top of you. That's what I'm saying. The range is 0. It does it around you.
Oh.
So this
that's
thing
not as much fun.
Yeah, I'm like it has to affect you as well. So
that's not good. Well, he's probably gonna explain all this in the answer, right? I mean, this is probably the point. Okay. So yeah, where's the Empress Strangler? She would know because she's a druid. The Empress Strangler's not on here. She would be shaking her head. She'd listen to this and she'd be like, "Those guys are knuckleheads." Okay. All right. So there it is, guys. It is time to choose.
Well, so now these folks are arguing that yes, I get it. 150 would suck, and eventually you would be in terrible agony. But you also could. It's 10-foot radius. You could walk away from the bard.
Yes, and I'm standing there, and I'm hoisted on my own petard.
That's right. I'm dying here.
Can I turn it off? Can you turn the spells off like that?
I don't allow that. I don't unless it says you can end the spell. You cannot end the spell.
The magic's out there.
That's right.
It's right. You would need to spell magic. Then you have to cast Dispel Magic to get rid of the.
Yeah, wizards always want to do it. I want to stop my own magic. Well, it doesn't say you can do that. You've invoked the spell. Unless it says you can turn it off, you can't just turn it off.
I think that makes sense to me. Unless you have to spell magic.
They get so mad. They get so. I want
No,
to.
but that makes sense.
No.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you, right? Because then the magic it's been cast.
Well, later editions they have this concentration. Well, fine. If there's like Phantasmal Force says you have to concentrate to keep the image going. Well, then that's fine.
Stop concentrating.
Stop concentrating. But this it's invoked. There you go.
Exactly. I agree with you.
There's no thing that says magic withdrawal. All right. So.
Okay. So one is attack with sword. 2 is control the famous control temperature. 3 is charm, and suggest he kill himself. 4, trust him. 5, let him help you but stay wary. 6 is cast obscurement and escape. What does obscurement do?
That's another. I think.
Oh God.
It's druid spell.
I know what entangle does. Call lightning is 8. Seems pretty
call
obvious.
Lightning is we can't do call lightning.
Why not?
Because call lightning takes forever to cast. You
Oh,
have to be
really?
Like, excuse me.
Oh.
I need the next 10 minutes to cast call lightning. So,
Oh, and you hear like thunder rumbling and coming.
Thunder comes.
Okay. And he's like, yeah, it's a bad storms are coming. Better get out of here. Better get inside.
Standing there waiting.
Yeah. Mom said not to be outside when there's lightning. Sorry. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Fairy fire and attack him with your sword. Throw dagger at him and then run. Well, I gotta tell you. So what does obscurement do? Do you know what obscurement does?
No, I haven't looked at obscurement. It's probably a druid spell, so let's see.
I'm very nervous. Well, when you look up obscurement, I got to tell you, I'm a little nervous that word is spread, and it was an Assassin's Guild. I don't think I would.
Yeah, I think the guy has a disguise on because he's not. I wouldn't want to make a roll to see if I figure out he has a disguise. That would be my thing.
I want to cast obscurement. I don't know what it is, but I like the idea of obscurement. It sounds good. I may just cast it. Have you ever ordered anything that you didn't know what it was? This might be this. I may be casting obscurement, and I don't know what obscurement is.
I have no idea what it is. I can't find it.
Really? I don't know why I said it that way. That was not very nice of me, was it?
Second level druid. I'm a druid in Tom's game. I've never.
This is good for you. You should play. You should do very well on this segment.
I should, but I'm not doing well. I'm sucking wind here.
Obscurement.
Misty Vapor to rise.
Oh, Misty Vapor. She was one of my characters once. Do you remember when I played Misty Vapor?
No, I don't. I didn't.
Oh yeah, sure. Misty Vapor. Yeah, she was a 3rd level female thief.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, Misty Vapor. Okay, what does it do?
It's like a fog spell.
Oh, I like that.
Page
Okay.
57. Page 57 of the Player's Handbook.
I got it.
That's why I don't use it.
Oh,
it's actually pretty good. It causes a misty vapor to rise around the druid, persist in the locale for 4 rounds per level of experience of the druid casting spell, reduces visibility to 2 to 8 feet. The area effect is a cubic progression based on the druid level of experience, so this thing would be massive. And so the problem with this obscurement is then you'd have to rule what effect it has. So I assume you'd go into the DMG and look at concealment. It would give you some concealment.
Well, the good news is Kelly's going to tell us. I'm casting Misty Vapor, obscurement.
Well,
so that's what I'm picking.
We have a rule that we don't do the same thing. So I'm going to.
You're doing the control temperature, aren't you?
No, I'm not doing the control temperature. I'm going to do. I like Fairy Fire. I like attacking. So I'm going to cast Fairy Fire and attack him.
Okay.
I might as well get the +2 to hit. So.
Other people, have they chimed in?
They put their things in, so we're ready when you are.
Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry. I would be remiss. We got to pay the bills. I forgot to mention that this episode of installment of Have You Ever Played is brought to you by Larry's Good Things at 2045 Longsdale Avenue in North Vancouver. Hobbies and games and fantasy games. Give them a ring at 988-6511. That's Larry's Good Things. And tell Larry you heard about him on GROGTALK.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay.
And Leroy will love that. So, okay, so starting with 1, we got a couple people who picked 1. So what's 1?
Yep, and folks, honor system, keep track of your hit point deductions.
You got to keep track of your hit points. And I chose where is it? I chose 9.
Did anyone pick 1?
Yes, people chose 1.
Okay, waste this goon. Take 15 hit points from melee with this disguised assassin.
Yay! Good for us. We all kind of figured that out. Well, I think you said it right on. How would he know that this had word had spread? That's the thing.
It's so fast. It didn't seem okay. 2 is ready. Did anyone pick 2 after we basically trashed it?
I don't see anyone picking 2.
Let's hope John Frazier's answer does not lead to lots of debate. Fried the assassin, no damage.
Wow. Oh, that's
the DM rules.
Wow. Fried
Very
the assassin.
controversial.
I don't understand that. So I don't understand how it fried.
No, don't argue with the DM, James.
Right. I think it's. So what you're basically saying is control temperature is a death weapon. Why are you not using that all the time?
Wait, are you going to be the player at the table who then is like saying that the DM shouldn't have helped the party? You're like, no, that wouldn't have worked. And everyone's like, shut up.
Yeah, that would be me.
Boo.
Well, that'd be exactly boo.
Okay.
All right, tough crowd. Anyway, my point is, that's the spell I'm going to use from now on. That thing's awesome.
Okay. Did anyone pick number 3?
I don't think so.
Okay, I kind of like John Frazier. You ready for this? This is funny. So this was suggest you kill yourself, which we know doesn't usually work, right? But this what's interesting. John Frazier says suggesting to kill himself negates the spell. What do you think of that?
Negates what spell?
Well, the suggestion spell. So a charm. So what he says is he attempted to charm and then suggested that she kill himself. Right. What the answer here is that when you suggested he kill himself, it negated the charm spell.
Yeah, that cancels it, right?
Is that true?
Well, it says it doesn't work, so I mean that's one way.
Oh, well, that's different though. Oh, do you only get one? Does it cancel the spell? I mean, aren't you under charm for a while? How many suggestions do I get? Do I get a few?
Well, suggestion is different than charm. So we were casting suggestion or we were casting charm?
You charmed him, and then it said that while he's charmed, we suggest he kill himself. So I assume while you're charmed, you get to use the equivalent of suggestion?
Well, it just says on charm person, if this is on page 55, a charmed person would not obey a suicide command. That's what it says.
So what's the controversy here is that John Frazier is saying that it cancels the spell. You lose it. How? You'd be pretty upset with the DM.
He basically gets an automatic saving throw at that point, and it's broken.
Oh, is that what it says?
No, it says here, I'm inferring the spell may be broken if if a saving throw is made. It also says, thus a charmed person would not obey a suicide command. So if he's not going to obey it, that means he's successful. He's made a save, basically.
Well, I don't think that's what he says suggesting negates the spell. He didn't say he makes a save. He made it sound like if you suggest to someone under charm who's failed their save that they should kill themselves, that this is so ridiculous they wise up.
Right.
I don't believe that. That's not what it sounds like.
Well,
right?
It may be what he's saying, but same thing with control weather or whatever, control temperature. I think he's interpreting things that it doesn't mean.
Wow, this is getting rough, man. We have to have him on the show. Okay, number 4 was trust this guy. Oh, okay. Who said this? They had it right. Was it Menyon? Or somebody? Bards never associate with another bard of a lesser college. Yeah. He's an assassin. Oh, I forgot to mention the results of number 3. Mm-hmm. Suggesting to kill himself negates a spell. You are dead from assassination.
Oh, you get assassinated. Wow.
You're assassinated. And 4, you're also dead from assassination. This is a rough first.
Okay, so 3 or 4. Did anyone pick 3 or 4?
Don't run this.
Poor Menyon, he picked 4. Sorry.
Menyon picked 4. I thought no, so it wasn't Menyon. You said don't associate with the bar.
It was Jonathan who said that, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Don't run this at a convention. People have a lot of time on their hands.
That's right.
5 was this is a rough one. 5, I miss Elron Baroon, whatever. A5 was stay wary. I was close to that one. Oh my God. Same as A4, but take 30 hit points instead of dying. So it was an assassination attempt that you survive, and you're like bleeding in the street, running.
But you have 105 hit points, so you're feeling pretty good. And you can cure light wounds at some point. So
okay, here's number 6. This is mine. Yes, James, I'm getting better. I should have been a bard. Cast Obscurement Escape. Fine, no damage. Woo.
No, hold on. That's it.
Yeah. 7 was Entangle. Mm-hmm. Entangle only words. I think it means works. Entangle only works near plants. Dead from assassination.
Oh, poor Jonathan dead. Vic dead.
Wow.
Dead.
Wow. This is like the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Like half the teams are gone in the first round.
Dead,
this is the play-in game.
Everyone is dead.
Wow. This is a bloodbath. Okay.
So far, Cyber Heston, our friend Martin, is alive. You're alive.
I'm alive. 8 is call lightning.
You're dead.
No storm in the area. Oh, you need a storm
Yeah,
in
there
the
needs to be
area.
weather. Yeah, and it takes 10 minutes, so you're dead. What happened?
Oh, so you're waiting and waiting. So if a storm doesn't come within 10 minutes, it's just like,
Well, you can't do it unless
damn.
a storm is there. Yeah.
Right. Dead from assassination.
Dead. I knew that.
Dead.
Was
9 is, this is you, fairy fire.
Yeah.
An attack with your sword. Take 5 hit points from combat.
There you
But
go.
apparently you live. So you're down 5. So remember that, James. You're down 5, but you're alive. I liked 10 was throw the dagger and run. It seemed like kind of a sissy thing to do, doesn't it?
It's very, what was that, from Princess Bride, right? Where he, points and then runs away or whatever, right?
It's very that. Take 20 hit points
Ooh.
from his thrown daggers while you're running. So you're running and daggers are flying in your back. All right, so wow, man, that I didn't realize that was going to be so rough. That was rough. Woo, that guy doesn't mess around.
But
so now we got a bunch of people.
People are complaining, we're dead. It was, dead. I'm dead.
You suck.
Dead. Okay, and so we're still with the control temperature. I get the control temperature. Okay, let's say this is first. Wait, hold on.
This is so first edition.
I agree that the temperature 150 is probably bad, but it affects you. It doesn't. The range is 0. It affects you. You become 150. So that's the part I have a problem with. It doesn't say it doesn't affect the person in there. The ambient temperature around you would be 150 degrees.
Yeah.
Unless you have some kind of psychic mind over matter body thing where you can prevent it from. Now, if you have that combo, that would be great.
Yeah. So you really have 2 problems with this result. Number 1, you don't think it would fry anybody, and number 2, if it did fry somebody, it should have said, "You're both fried. You're dead."
Right.
You're fried too.
Yeah. I think the intent was if you're really cold or really hot, it would lower or raise the temperature for you and your compatriots so they would not suffer the effects. Not as a death weapon to.
Right.
And it's not instantaneous. Just like like in Minnesota, if it was minus, let's say it was 60 degrees and you brought it down to minus 35 degrees, you wouldn't instantly freeze and it would take a little bit.
Right.
And in the meantime, he's attacking you. He's
He's starting to sweat a little. Right. He's like, is it hot in here? Right. No, I agree with you. That does not
and they're
seem
complaining about Entangle. Entangle is very clear too. Entangle says you have to have bushes or grass or something there. It said we were in a town like outside in the hall in the
cobblestone. Yeah, because we started walking down a cobblestone street, I think.
Yeah. So let's read that again because people are complaining.
Well, you're in the city of Orlo, and let me see.
Yeah, plants in the area. The grass, weeds, and bushes. Yeah, well, there isn't any grass, weeds, and bushes, so there you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, that was a lot of anger. That was a great thing. You know what was good? We did great. You.
And that's all that matters.
That's right. Yay to us. And all the smarty pants out there who knew bardic colleges can't interact with each other. And actually, after we kill them...
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. Perfect.
We play a little jig, and we then say, have a nice day. All right. Well, let me see if Mr. Marsh is coming on. Hopefully.
Okay. So we're going to take a brief intermission?
No, not yet, because I haven't seen him out there. Let me add. Because he was supposed to text me, so maybe he was waiting for me to text him. So I have to check my check my mail. It's at the grog line. I got a media message. Who sent me a media message to the grog line? That's super cool. I don't know what it is, but hold on. This dead air, we love it. Let me see. Nope, he hasn't sent a message. Well, we should probably keep going until he's ready to come on. So what we also were going to talk about was death and resurrection, since it is the Easter excitement. We didn't talk about this last time, right? I did look over our notes.
Oh, really? I thought we did. No, we didn't talk about that.
We just talked about the Easter thing. So let's see. This is probably all right. Someone sent me something. Let's see. I don't know. I gotta lower this just in case this is porn. All right, Stephen is ready, so we're not going to talk about it. Oh, okay. Well, if someone sent me something. Oh, there's ID. Ooh, this should be interesting. I'm gonna have to look at it. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna bring Stephen Marsh from AD&D and Expert fame on. So let me do that. Hold on. Let me put us on the standby, and we'll see everyone in a few seconds, a couple of minutes. All right, bye.
Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
Okay, and we're back. Welcome back to Grog Talk. And so, Dan, we have another little figure in our screen. So why don't you introduce our guest?
Yes, it is our pleasure to welcome Stephen Marsh onto the show. So, Stephen, of course, was a contributor to some of the early OD&D supplements, and some of his monsters, which we'll talk about, of course, made their way into the Monster Manual. And he, of course, also is one of the authors of the expert set for the basic edition of AD&D, of basic D&D. So, Stephen, welcome to the show.
Glad to be on.
All right.
There you go.
What's really funny is there's more than one Stephen Marsh in the game industry.
I saw that, yes. And so, have you ever been? I know he's been confused, right? People thought he was you, right?
Yeah.
Has anyone ever thought I'm struggling here, that you were him?
Yes.
So who is the other Stephen Marsh?
He works for Steve Jackson. He worked for Steve Jackson Games, and we've been on good terms ever since he gave a convention address where he said, "I'm the Steve Marsh, but I'm not the real Steve Marsh," and then said I was the real Steve Marsh.
And and of course not. And so, are you talking about the Steve Jackson in England or the Steve Jackson in the U.S.?
The one in
Yes.
Austin.
Okay, because that's confusing too, right?
Yeah, the Michael Moorcock is from England's now in Austin too. So
Okay. Well, oh, wait. Which Steve Marsh are you? James, I think there's a mistake's been made. Which Steve Marsh is it?
I'm the one that did wrote the
That's
expert
right.
set and was
Good.
involved from early on.
So we've got the right person, because I've got a lot of notes here and I wanted to make sure that we didn't have perfect. All right. So can we take you back to, and you told this story before, for people who haven't heard interviews of you, I encourage them to go listen. I know you've been on Roll for Initiative. You're on Save or Die podcast. Great interviews
So
there.
you're basically saying this one's going to be horrible. You should, whatever doesn't come out of this interview, you should go listen to other ones. Okay, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Exactly. We try. Yes, exactly. So it is kind of depressing to listen to those interviews and see all the questions that I was prepared to ask have already been asked, but we're going to do it anyway. So you, of course, you told the story how you discovered OD&D when Sandy Peterson, right, who goes on to write the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, you see Sandy Peterson with OD&D. Maybe you could tell us that story.
Sure. I was at BYU, and I was in a honors religion class. And I sat down toward the back, and next to me was Brian Stout, who had Men and Monsters, or Monsters and Treasure. He had Monsters and Treasure, and next to him was Sandy Peterson. And I looked over and I asked if I could borrow the book. And I didn't know either of them at the time. And they said, sure. And so I took Monsters and Treasure home, read it, and brought it back to the next class.
And you you played in a game with him, right?
Yes. Sandy was our game master. And we had a relatively high fatality rate. In that basically everyone except for my character died and stayed dead. My character got raised from the dead, and every time you got raised from the dead, you get stuck with some terrible geas to go do something that was going to get you killed. And I managed to eventually survive all that.
What kind of character did you play? Do you remember your first character?
I played a magic user called Delacasis, who I sometimes use as an online screen name even today.
Is that one of your characters made it into, and I'm kind of jumping out of order here, but the Dungeon Master's Law, and I know, James, I know you've got a copy of the Dungeon Master's Law because you let me borrow this one. You've got a character.
Ilias and Morningstar.
Okay. And so that's someone different than the character?
That's someone different.
Okay.
That was a Phoenix.
Got it. So you're hooked, it sounds like.
Yeah. It was great.
And you started corresponding with Gary Gygax.
Yes.
What prompted you to start corresponding with him? And do you remember what the first letter was that you wrote to him? What you were asking?
I'm not sure what the first letter was, but back in the day, everybody wrote letters. And it never occurred to me not to. And he wrote me back because at the time, D&D was very small. You'll read Gary's writings about me. He'll say we made contact in 73. Greg Stafford says the same thing. I got in contact with Gary in 1974.
Yeah, because 70 OD&D was first published, wasn't it? I think it was 74. Was it written in 73? But I think it didn't come out till 74. I think. Right. Okay.
A lot of people in the industry tend to backdate me for reasons I'm not sure why. But Gary would always tell people I was involved from 1973 on.
Okay. And it sounds like he said you don't remember exactly what you would have been asking. I was just curious if you remembered, like you were asking about some rule or, what would have prompted you to write him.
I don't remember, but I started writing, and then I started writing about alignment. I said, you ought to add good and evil. Chaos.
So you had done that. How early did you do that? Because that's another thing that you had suggested to him, and I'd like to talk about alignment because sure. I'm a huge fan of alignment. I don't know James's opinion. I think he likes it as well.
It's one of the few, some of the inventions of D&D that make it D&D. If you don't have alignment, play other games.
Now, the strategic review, the newsletter they had before they had the dragon, the issue on alignment, they put me down as a contributing editor. Of course, I didn't edit anything in the magazine. I just contributed. And you'll find in the credits, Barry would had this big pile of stuff, this big basket of things, and he'd make it available to Tim Kask and others to use, and then he'd tell them who to put in the credits, without explaining what came from who. And so poor Tim never knew who did what, because by the time he got the basket of stuff, that had the stuff in it versus the letters, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, it does. And so I didn't know. I mean, it's been a long time since I've looked at any of those strategic reviews. So there was, I guess, an article in Strategic Review on alignment, and and that would have been prompted by some of the correspondence that you had with Gary.
Yes. And so and Gary gave me contributing editor credit for that issue to go with the alignment.
So I'll tell you what I like about alignment, and then maybe you can let us know what your view. And I know that you obviously wanted expanded between, beyond just law and chaos. I like alignment because I think it creates some sort of structure. So I have some sort of general guideline as to how I should play this character. I don't want to just play a character as me. And so it creates some sort of funneling to help guide me. So what were your thoughts on why you wanted more alignments?
I like the idea of alignment as part of the basic underlying structure of the world. Gary really liked 3 Hearts and 3 Lions, which is when I got rid of several thousand books. When my wife said, you're carrying a lot around the books and you can always get them through Amazon now. But 3 Hearts and 3 Lions, I still kept a copy of it, and I also have it on Kindle. But it had the idea of law being order and chaos being feral. And so lawful things are things in accordance with the order of heaven, so to speak. So Ogre the Dane, he's lawful. And then you had all the Moorcock stuff. And originally, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Elric was supposed to be a Conan type character. Moorcock thought that the editor had asked him to write Conan, so he wrote Elric of Melniboné. Just a albino sorcerer with a soul-shrinking sword. Isn't that what Conan would do? And it wasn't a spoof. It was actually an honest attempt by Michael Moorcock in his own way to write Conan. And then he found out the editor got back and said, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted. Not like Conan at all. But originally the Chaos Gods were hell gods in Moorcock's world. So they were evil. And the lawful deities were the good guys. And he played with alignment later. But you had a lot of people who'd been exposed to Moorcock, and not that many that were exposed to Anderson. And then you had Moorcock's neutral and the whole idea of Tanalorn and the rest. But it makes an interesting structure, but it's like, not all anarchists are evil.
And not all lawfuls are good.
Yes, not all Nazis are good people.
Well, I thank you for suggesting the additions to the alignment structure. I'm a huge fan. I love it. So you you started sending in monsters to Gary, of course, right? Because we know that you end up you're thanked in the Blackmore supplement for OD&D, and so you send in, the aquatic elves. Now, look, I'm going to ask you to pronounce these. I know Dragon Magazine, in Dragon Magazine number 93, had Frank Menser did a list of pronunciations, and I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if you were consulted on the pronunciations for your monsters or not, but I'm going to let you say it, right? So I'll just ask you this way. What do you send in?
Okay, first I sent in Catobabas, which are a monster out of a bestiary. And that shows up in the strategic review. Then I sent in a whole bunch of underwater stuff, and that ended up in Blackmore. And that includes the Ixit Chittle. Something about me, until I was in law school, I read words as glyphs, not phonetically.
Wow, interesting.
I learned to spell when I was in law school. And so I often would skip a syllable. For example, Ixit Chittle's got 5 syllables in the writing, but I only pronounce 4 of them.
So you say, I say you say it's your monster. So you say it's Ixit Chittle.
Yes, and that actually shows up in one of the Dragon magazine articles.
This is
and
what
And I wrote and asked, how'd you guys know the right pronunciation? He said, well, I was going to use the other one. And one of the old guys said, no, it's Ixit Chittle.
That looks right. From Dragon magazine number, what I think said 93. Frank has it as Ixit Chittle. So I think that's right. But okay, let's talk about this is the one for, you said, what is it? The cattle? How do you pronounce it? Katoba. Okay. There's 3 different possible pronunciations according to Dragon. Okay. Catablopus. Okay. Catoblepus or Catoblepus.
Okay.
Are any of those 3 what you said?
No.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. It's not your monster. Okay. It's TSR. They've done the pronunciation. It's official. So you do. All right. You send that, and that makes it interesting. Okay. That's a evil monster. That's the Death Ray monster, right?
Yes. And that's the way they showed it historically.
Wait, say that again. That's how they showed it historically.
Oh, they show up in bestiaries that way.
Oh, okay.
It's a historically based monster.
Okay, tell us about that. Okay, so where did you get it from exactly? What history?
I was reading an old bestiary.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a good picture.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I was reading old bestiary, and I thought, that'd make kind of a fun monster, so I sent it in.
Okay, yeah, because it is. So I don't know how your players felt about this monster. What I like about this, so let's read the gaze of the. Oh gosh, I gotta say it again. Okay, hang on. The gaze.
Like.
I'm picking one of these 3. The gaze of the Catablopus, which I know makes you upset, is equal to a death ray exceeding 6 inches from the eyes, even into the astral-ethereal planes. Any creature which meets this gaze, this is what I love. Any creature which meets this gaze dies without any chance to save itself. Complete surprise, 2 on a 6-sided, means one of the party encountering the monster has met its gaze, and it will actually chase you. So that's pretty rough. You gave no save.
Which, hold on, Dan. I don't mean to. Yes. I know this is important, but we finally got a definition of complete surprise. Remember we asked about complete surprise when we talked about the Draculus? What was surprise versus complete surprise? Well, there it is.
Oh.
Complete surprise is a 2, means since you have a surprise of 1, typically 1 or 2,
2 is complete.
2 is complete surprise. We said that, but we didn't have a rule for it. So our life is complete now. Thanks to Stephen.
And I think, right, Stephen, I think that this monster, Gary didn't change this very much from, like the one you sent in the strategic review, I assume was taken directly from what you sent in. And I don't think this was changed that much from strategic review, right?
I don't think so. I think that you're basically, your equivalent of saving was its difficulty in raising its head to gaze at you.
Yes, correct. That is correct. So you sent that in, and then you sent in the. Shall we talk about so aquatic elves and all these mods? Were these ones that you were using in a campaign that you were running, and did you send in more? And these were just the ones that were chosen.
They pretty much used everything I sent in. When they were doing Blackmore, they didn't get enough content. And so they grabbed the whole bundle of underwater stuff I'd sent in and used everything I sent.
So was more used from you than simply those monsters? So, because I know there's a whole discussion underwater. I mean, basically, was the text of the underwater discussion of underwater adventuring, was that you?
Pretty much, the free action rings and the air bubbles and everything else.
Okay, so it's a lot more, because I've often seen where they reference that you get credit obviously for the monsters and the underwater material, but it was never clear to me how much of the underwater material came from
I
you.
did some magic items to make underwater adventures easier to use.
Is that because you were doing underwater adventures in your campaigns?
No, I was just thinking about it, and so I wrote it up.
Okay.
So it's like the Catobos. I never actually used it on characters in my campaign. So maybe I need to toss one in for North Texas RPG Con this year.
Yeah, how could you not? That's right. What an honor it would be to be killed by a Catoblus's death ray when run by Steve Marsh.
Catobulus by Steve himself. So, picture that's
right. It's
I think I'm just going to back up the aquatic feral skeleton chickens.
Aquatic skeleton. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
They have feral chickens all over Hawaii, and I thought, you need aquatic feral chickens, and then why not have giant aquatic feral chickens, and then why not make them into skeletons, so kobolds can ride them?
It writes itself.
Chicken. Hold on, writing this down. Hold on. Aquatic giant skeletal chickens. Got it.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
Wait, so if you were not running an underwater camp, because hang on, I've done my research. Sahuagin?
Sahuagin.
Sahuagin. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It is Sahuagin.
I'm sorry. Remember, I read shapes. It's a Spanish word. A bunch of the names of those monsters came from an old missionary pamphlet called Christ in the Americas, which later got withdrawn because they discovered, you know the story of Cortez, right? He shows up, sure. He thinks he's been mistaken for a god. In reality, they're mocking him. He doesn't know that. And they bring him to Mexico City. He thinks to honor him. In reality, it's to eat him. And he manages to escape the city due to a smallpox outbreak. And then he allies with all the people the Aztecs are eating, and leads basically a revolution of sorts and conquers Mexico City. But all the stories, he believed, and a lot of the early Spaniards believed, that he had been mistaken for a god. And they didn't catch on that he was being mocked. And it wasn't until like the 90s people got into the core sources beyond the early Spanish sources, and they went, wait a moment. Quetzalcoatl and the rest, they don't match up. And they got other stuff, and they went, my gosh, he didn't know what he was talking about.
Okay.
So I used a bunch of names from that pamphlet.
Well, this actually reminds me of something else that you've talked about. So not realizing you're perhaps being mocked. So James and I may have fallen for this. So we review Dragon we review Dragon magazines from 40 years ago. And recently we read an article where Gary was discussing how female dwarves do in fact have beards. And James, you're going to shake your head. You may just want to leave the podcast now. James and I were like, aha, it's true. Gary said it. It is true. And only when I was doing research on you and listening to your former interviews. Well, why don't you tell the story? So why were James and I apparently, even now 40 years later, we were duped.
We are the Cortez of D&D.
We are the Cortezes of D&D.
Gary was not as pleased as he could be with the amount of reverence he was getting. And he thought people should feel more free to ignore me. They're taking me too seriously. So he wrote this article that he thought would do it. He said, surely nobody will take this seriously. And then, much to his surprise, people did take it seriously. And next thing you know, there's all these people, female dwarves have beards. And he's like, and that was that. He was quite surprised. At that point, he gave up.
Yeah, well, he needs to understand. He needs to do plain speak with people like us, because it's he was being too uh he wasn't being clear enough for people. Like, we need to be hit over the head, basically. So
Yeah. He just wanted people to feel free to ignore him.
right. Well, we took him seriously, so I'm glad we got that cleared up. I'm surprised to learn that you didn't have a big underwater campaign, because the Swagan are that's a huge entry. I mean,
Two
it's a
syllables.
wonderful
2 syllables. That's
Swagan,
Yeah.
Swagan, right?
It's closer.
Sagwin.
Sagwin.
There's a diphthongal glide.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
I'm glad.
great. I love
No.
it because he's the one who tipped. I don't know any of this grammar, so this is great.
Well, we were just complaining a
Saga.
little bit because Frank in his pronunciation says it can be drow or dro. We feel like he was just kind of like saying it could be anything you want, pretty much, and
Right.
wasn't solving things. But that's a different issue.
That's why we appreciate we're getting the record here straight, and later we're gonna have to pay if we say these monsters wrong in the future. Our listeners are gonna have to let us know, and we'll send them a gift. So we're gonna put this on loop later.
James says gibbering mouther. Okay, so the Soggen it's a wonderful entry. So it reminds me almost sort of like an entry they're almost like the drow of the deep. I really enjoyed learning about them. I'd never really spent a lot of time looking at them, and the amount of background here. And then of course the background was included in the in Blackmore. So the one that makes it a monster manual is not all that much different than the one you sent in. So it surprised me that you didn't have a campaign, because you obviously gave a lot of thought to these creatures.
Well, I'm playing in Sandy's campaign, and I'm thinking. And I kind of prefer to think and watch and play rather than run stuff. It's like a lot of video games. I like to watch someone else play them.
It's right up your alley. You can just watch people play video games all day. That's what Twitch is, basically. That's what people do. Interesting.
Were you a quiet player? So when you were at the game, some players are very quiet. They just do that. They sit and they kind of watch. Or were you an active player?
Well, we were often playing with just 1 or 2 characters at a time, 1 or 2 players at a time. So it was social. The campaign I played in later in law school, would have maybe as many as 3 people at a time, plus a DM. I played often in very small campaigns, and we were social. So it's not like my daughter ran a campaign. She had 12 kids.
Yeah,
and they were all on the autism spectrum. And that was an impressive bit of active management, because you have the parents sitting in the background, a therapist in attendance, and this campaign running.
When was that, Stephen?
That finished up about 3 years ago when she started college.
Okay, because I'm sure you've heard that one of the things we went from satanic panic in the 80s to now. People see role-playing games as a form of therapy for folks, whether they're trauma.
It was.
Yeah.
Because instead of criticizing the individual, you're criticizing the way their character's acting.
Yeah.
And it allows them to role-play and put it at a distance. We had a party for the kids at our house, and my wife got a DJ to show up, and a number of the parents, one of the parents started crying. It's the first time she'd ever seen her kid get social or dance.
Oh, awesome. Well, we need so it sounds like to me Stephen's available for parties and DJs.
Yes.
If you're available. So
before we sold the big house, yes, we had a couple weddings in the backyard, and
I downsized.
Yes.
Yeah.
That house was expensive to maintain. It's like I'm looking at retirement, and it's like not that excited about mowing the lawn.
Yeah, well, I've got like a lot of cats, so I need to keep the larger house. So the Soggen is there's a dark side to them, to be sure. So right?
Because they are Aztec sharks.
Okay, got it.
Aztec sharks,
and they are descended from alligator worshiping alligator men.
Got it. Was there anything that you were not, so there were some changes in the monster manual from the version you sent in that makes its way to Blackmore. Like, I noticed that there was rumors that maybe the Drow had created them. I was just wondering if there's anything about some of the changes that you were not necessarily thrilled. And I understand, Gary's going to have license to do that. And let me mention that it seems clear that Gary was quite enamored with the material that you were sending in. I mean, in reading the way Gary talks about your material, I mean, he lavishes praise on you. He obviously absolutely loved the Sagan because he basically reprints the entire entry that you sent in almost verbatim. It looks like it doesn't change much in the Monster Manual 2 at all. So he obviously was quite taken by it. But was there anything in there that you kind of like, well, I don't know, I wasn't really thrilled with that change, or does it just not matter that much?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, I was just curious because it said something about the Drow, claiming that the Drow spawned the Sagan. So there's some discussion in there that they worship devils, that the reason they had 9 areas was because they it mirrors the plains of hell. And so those are just sort of some of the little changes that I noticed being different.
Now, the Sagan spawn themselves.
Okay.
But, to get to that, you've got to get to the Harar, which are these alligator men, and worshiping an alligator god who decide to make themselves aquatic and transition to the shark.
And what about, so the It's a Chittle?
Yes.
It's very interesting. And I first encountered the It's a Chittle I believe it's in Ghost Tower of Inverness. I think Alan Hammock put it in there with great artwork, I believe, by Errol Otis. So very interesting because you basically have, it looks like, underwater clerics in the form of a ray is the way I would. Very interesting. So can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with the Ixochitl?
Okay. There's a Fafhrd and Grey Mouser story that's mildly Thule mythos, where there's a sea wreck and the people going after the treasure, and then they get ambushed by these rays that eat them all. And of course, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser escape. And that's kind of where the Ixochitl come from. And then we were working on a character class, which never made it, probably for good cause, called the Philosopher. And Philosophers only got an extra hit point a level. They had, they were based on the alternate combat system, which was, and they also had spell points, but very parsimonious. They had 1 spell point a level. And they gained spell points worth of spells a level. So at first level, they had 1 spell and 1 spell point. At second level, they could have another spell, or if they hadn't gotten a first level spell, they'd get a second level spell. And they had a total of 2 spell points. At third level, it goes on from there. So they didn't have much in the way of spells, but they had some flexibility. And that never got worked out well. And so that got scratched. So they started off as chaotic clerical philosophers because the kind of spells they were going to get was clerical spells. And they were going to follow the philosopher rule set. Well, that got scrapped, and then every so often I figured, rather than have them the way Lieber did, which is they're basically all vampire types, just have an occasional vampire mixed in with the clerical types. And that gives them a lot of punch for a low hit dice creature.
Okay, very interesting. And I have a question on aquatic elves. Are they, so you say they're like mermen, but they're humanoid. So do aquatic elves do they have legs, or do they not have legs?
They had legs originally.
Okay.
Mermen don't have legs. Mermen have fishtails.
Right, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, okay.
Aquatic elves just have, fins along their legs.
Right, okay. You sent in, so you're corresponding with Gary, and you're going to end up at TSR, right? The summer of 1980. So
Yeah.
how did that happen? Because you were in law school, of course, at that point, right?
Yeah. And Gary wanted me to work for TSR when I got out of law school as a game designer, and I was good with that. And had me come out for the summer to make sure I was a fit. And I saw him a three times, got to see his house, meet his wife. We went out to dinner at a local bar and had hamburgers. And quite frankly, I'm very fond of bar food, even though I don't drink. And with the backpacking I'm doing, I'm even fonder of it. I've eaten, hamburgers and bars all over the East Coast these days. And I got dumped off in the design department, and I got handed things that nobody else was doing. And so that's how I ended up writing the expert set. It's like, and I got given the bucket of stuff.
There you go.
There it is.
Which is also had a lot of crap in it. And I remember reading something, going, my gosh, do I have to use this? I was just appalled. And they said, no, it's just available if you want to. And so I skipped it, and I just sat down and wrote it. I did want to have vampires get knocked down. If you cut a vampire's head off, it does so many hit points of damage. And you've actually killed the vampire permanently when you've reduced its hit points all the way down. So you can stake it, you can cut its head off, stuff the mouth with garlic, bury it at crossroads. Each of these things does varying degrees of total hit point subtraction. So you can have bigger and badder vampires, they take more work to take down. And like, nah, it's too complicated. And I wanted the woolly rhinos to be intelligent, because I love the idea of woolly rhino cavalry. Having these critters out on the plains that were intelligent and, and Errol Otis did an illustration of woolly rhino sitting by the fire in an overstuffed chair with a pipe. And they're like, nah, we don't want intelligent woolly rhinos. I should have swiped the illustration. I didn't. And so they made them so they weren't intelligent.
So did Errol Otis do the illustration because he didn't like that idea and he's kind of mocking it, or did
We thought it was funny.
Oh, okay. But it sounds like the illustration. So the illustration didn't help, though.
No, the illustration convinced everybody that it was a bad idea.
Okay, so that we'll blame Errol.
A moment, I don't want these guys sitting in an English pub. I want them out on the plains, but intelligent enough you get actual cavalry, formations and procedures. Imagine woolly heavy cavalry.
And you had before, and I kind of jumped over something when I asked you about going to work at TSR. So the Mystic class, you had sent in when you were corresponding with Gary in the 70s, right? You had proposed a Mystic class, which does not get used, but the belief is that it is what becomes psionics, right? And
what I did is I've been taking an Eastern philosophy class. I thought, it'd be fun to have gurus and Satgurus, and so I had level names, and they had the 8 major powers, and then the miscellaneous ones and chakras, and so I built up an entire class and sent it in, and it ended up in the bucket of stuff, and they took out all the powers and made them psionic powers. Somebody else had been working on something called the Divine, which had sonic attack and defense modes. And they couldn't make a complete class out of it. And so they just took that, and they took the psionic powers, and they had some psionic monsters they'd worked up. And so the powers of the monsters kind of fit in the ecology better.
Yeah, I think like the Mind Flayer had been around, right, for a bit, I think. Yeah. And if I understand it correctly, Tim Kask liked the idea of psionic. Like Gary wasn't thrilled with it, but Tim Kask really liked it, and so Tim Kask kind of takes your mystic and turns it into psionics. And
you'd have to ask Tim about that. I talked with Tim about it. He said he had this bucket of stuff, and so he used it. He had so many pages to fill
And we know in the player's handbook, I don't know about. Yeah. And there's a reference to in psionics in the player's handbook. It says that periodically, dwarves and halflings can have psionics. And my understanding is that you might be responsible for the fact that dwarves could possibly have psionics.
Darn right, and elves can't.
And elves can't. Right.
That's because I was 5'2" at the time.
And
The
you're not elf-like.
No. Much to my surprise, by the time I turned 20, I'd grown to 5'5". When I started college, I was still 5'2".
Well, you could have gone back and changed it, I guess, since you were more elf-like.
I'm not tall enough to be an elf, so.
So, and you also, before you show up for that summer 1980, you had been corresponding with Gary about elemental planes, right? Because I know that in March 1980, and this was supposed to be a big project, right? In March 1980, Gary writes in the Sorcerer's Scroll, he says, stalwart Steve Marsh also sent me reams of absolutely superb conceptual material for the elemental planes. And in a moment of conceptual weakness, I proposed a collaboration, melding his and my ideas into a whole campaign series approved for use with AD&D, exclamation point. So we know, of course, this is not going to happen. Maybe you can tell us the story about how that almost was.
Okay. There's two different ways to look at elements. Assuming you want to have classic elements like in classical mythology. One is to have Platonic ideals. So you have an ideal plane of fire, ideal plane of water, and the other is to have them as nodes. Basically Aristotelian nominalism or Platonic idealism. I said, you can make Platonic ideals and you can structure it all. And that gives you a huge realm. Basically, if you think of a box full of paper, reams of paper, each of the packages of paper is a group of prime material planes. And then the walls of the box are the four elemental planes, kind of holding reality in together. And on the edges, you have edge zones. So if you go deep into the earth or deep in the mountains, you get the plane of earth, the edge. In the ocean, you get the plane of water. As you get deeper, you actually get into the plane rather than the edge zone. Go up into the sky, you have clouds, eventually up in the plane of air, that sort of thing. And it's a lot of fun. And the deal was they would use the stuff I'd written, and in return, I would get my own book about the elemental planes. Kind of like Jim Ward got Gods, Demigods, and Heroes. And at one point, he was getting almost $50,000 a month in royalties from that.
And this idea continued for a while, right? Because I see in May 1983 in Dragon, Gary writes an article about the elemental planes, and right, you had a tetrahedral structure, if I recall correct, right, where all the elemental planes are touching. He turns it into a cube, but he gives credit. So it sounds like even as late as May 1983, that idea. So what had been happening? It sounds like this had been going on for a while, because we know that in 1980, you guys you sent him all this reams of information. 3 years later, they're still talking about it. But we know it doesn't happen. It ends up, Jeff Grubb ends up doing a book years later.
Yeah, Jeff got assigned to do it, and he did what he could.
Yeah, and my understanding is it did. Unfortunately, not really any of your material made it into there, right? Doesn't Lorraine Williams basically burns it?
Problem was they didn't want to pay me. So I never did get paid for Sogwin, for example.
That's the problem. That is a problem.
That's been a recurring theme with many of our interviews. We've noticed.
And the promise was that they could use my stuff. I've often thought of saying, hey guys, you need to quit publishing anything that has to do with anything that's mine or derivative of mine. But of course, that just causes a mess for fans and everybody else. It messes up the OGL because their rights to use my stuff are that they've given others the right to use is dependent on them having the right to do it in the first place. And it's like, yeah, it's not worth causing other people the trouble.
Oh yeah, we might get in trouble then.
GROGTALK, the intellectual property derivative show. That's right. That's
well, we like the open gaming license.
Yeah, I do too. And so it's like, okay, it's not worth screwing anything up. And they don't seem to have any indication or desire to pay me. There's an authors' rights group that, and they said they'd make a shot at it, but they're going, they don't know how to approach it. So I haven't really been that concerned.
So just to kind of follow through. So there's the idea, obviously you're working on it from as early as 1980, where there's actually before that, but it's now put out there by Gary that this is going to happen. Jeff Grubb's book doesn't come out till 87, 88, 80, something late 80s.
Yeah, originally, and then I was going to do a judges. When Gary lost control the one time, I was going to do it with Judges Guild. The original manuscript, Mike Gunderlow was going to help with it, and it got burned up when his place got burned up with all of his.
No.
He had a huge collection of fanzines. He used to do this thing called Fact Sheet 5. And those all burned when his place burned, and so did the original document he was working with. I had a photocopy of it with notes. They're not the latest draft, and that was sold by Paul Stormberg to a bunch of collectors, which fine by me. I got paid, the collector's value for it. But basically what happened is Gary kept losing control. And there were a lot of people who didn't like Gary, who were uncomfortable with an attorney who was also very loyal to Gary being involved. And then they also didn't want to pay me. And that's a combination.
You said that you went out there for the summer as sort of a test run to see if things worked out. That obviously you returned to law school and you don't end up working at TSR.
Well, I was, after that summer, I was told they had a job for me. And then I got a letter from one of the Bloom brothers telling me that it's one of these things that, of course, we wouldn't have hired you. You never really were made an offer, but just as letting you know that we're not going to hire you. It was, one of those things that makes you less charitably inclined towards someone you might otherwise be.
When did that letter come? So is that after? So when you left at the summer of 1980, I'm just curious as to whether you had decided, hey, I'm going to leave law school. This is the route I'm going to take, or was this? I
was planning graduation going to Wisconsin, and then 82, which is the year I graduated, I get this letter. And
okay.
Suddenly on short notice, I'm looking for a job.
Oh, so it sounds So your law degree didn't. I got it. So your law degree didn't help. So you're graduating from law school. You're loyal to Gary, and they say, okay, this is a terrible idea for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Gary has varying degrees of control, and he's also got the Hollywood and the cartoons and other stuff going, and basically they really didn't want me around. And Gary kept hoping to salvage a project, because if we got this project out, it wouldn't really matter. He would have made good on the financial promises he'd made me, and everything would be fine. But he wasn't able to. And so I eventually got a job, and then I got a better job. And I was talking with John Peterson, who had done a lot of research on a bunch of the old guys, and he said, you're the most successful of all the old grognards in terms of health, and employment. He was like, he'd been prepared to actually give me some money just to be nice to me. And he said, "You don't need any money." I said, "Well, I can always buy extra jewelry for my wife or something. I could think of a way to spend it." And he just
Right.
looked at me like,
So you should thank the Blooms.
in some ways, yeah, my life. I think my life worked out better because the way you look at Jim Ward, his life imploded on him several times, and as far as I can tell, he spent most of the money, and I'm not sure what it totaled. The big payment you get for your best month is not the book sales is often more than 50% of the money you make.
And I think they changed the rules after that, right? I mean, that's what Jim told us too. Is like they made it very hard for the authors to make that kind of money going forward. That they weren't going to allow.
Yeah, they did not want to pay royalties. They felt that that the value was in the franchise, not in the writing.
Right.
But you can see, they've yet to get good, solid plane of reality material of the kind I was working on.
And that material that was destroyed. Is that right? I think I heard you say that it had been in Gary's office and Lorraine Williams
There's a
trashed
bunch
it.
more stuff that was in Gary's office. And I remember Gary told me it had all been burned, and I thought he was being figurative. And I later found out that Lorraine had taken all the artwork and dumped it on a trash fire. Much of that got saved by people that pulled it out of the fire. And all the stuff in Gary's office, including some original documents of mine, which were not TSR's intellectual property. They were mine. And so
What's the
Maybe that's what cast.
That's right. Statute of limitations, get some witnesses, and because that's different than IP thing. That's destruction of property. I'm sure that.
Yeah. Anyway, I found out years later they'd actually burned it.
No.
Can you?
No.
Now, is the summer '80s? Can you tell us a little bit about the work you did reviewing the Judges Guild products?
Okay. Yeah. They would send Judges Guild stuff, and then we were supposed to review it for compliance. And some of it was fine. It's like we've got these miniatures, and it's like, Lauren Schick was like, "You get rid of the nipples. Nipples should not be poking through breastplates." And they completely redid them so they look like an adventure might look, rather than strippers, cosplaying D&D characters.
James,
what is that in the? Was it the the MLA, right? The Chicago Style Guide, of miniatures.
Yeah.
no nipples.
Don't. Go ahead,
James.
Jim.
What does the crowd think about that?
That's bad. They don't want that. They like it. They're heathens, I think. So they're.
Judges Guild was a real surprise to TSR. You got to remember that Gary and the rest were playing D&D once or twice a month. And they had, a very slow pace. And they expected everybody to just kind of develop their own campaign and adjust the rules. Have you guys ever read Stephen Brust's Vlad Talto series?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's about an assassin. It's based on his D&D campaign. Now, his Dragarians are lizard people. Those are his elves. And, but they were expecting that kind of adaptation. And what they weren't ready for was the kids down in Chicago who were playing D&D 5 hours a night, 7 days a week. And they were chewing through content at just an incredible rate. And some of their stuff shows up in Greyhawk. I had a roommate who was a graduate student in physics who had quit playing D&D, and he was been part of that group, so he couldn't do both. Because he was 40 hours a week playing D&D was a minimum. But they just chew through, and they came up with all the cursed armor and cursed weapons, because how is she going to kill characters otherwise? Which was like, what? Why are you focused on killing characters? But anyway, But people like that chew through material at a rate, just an incredible rate. And Judges Guild filled that niche. People that were just consuming, and TSR was like, why would anybody, use someone else's stuff? And Blackmore, the reception of the Temple of the Frog wasn't that great, but
So was there? I assume there's Judges Guild stuff that you reviewed. I mean, did you just reject some stuff because they had a license, right? So you guys had to approve everything, right? So
they wanted a group of female Amazons who ran around naked except for braces of protection and rings of protection, who killed all the men they met after having children with them. They killed all the boy children. And they were to be lawful good, and they were to be fairly low level. Now, if there is a group of fairly low level people carrying high quality magic items, murdering all their neighbors, and engaged in piracy, you might suspect that everybody's going to go farm them.
Right.
And it was like, sorry, they can't be lawful good if they're going around murdering people. Lawful evil, sure. And second, you can't, the guy who had this image of naked women running around. And in order for them to be naked rather than wearing armor and viable in combat, they just need, magic items. But if you've got all of them in magic items and they're low level, think about it. If there was a group of evil pirates, second and third level with braces of armor class 4 and rings of protection +2 and +3, would your response be to run away from them, try to make friends with them, or go loot them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's and the one way to handle that, it's sort of like the Drow or Dro, but where their magic items are tied to their homeworld. Right. I was just teasing Dan. The Drow, they have their elven stuff, which is super powerful, but as soon as you leave their homeworld, it starts diminishing. So unless you're going to do that with the Amazon, that the humidity, I'm making stuff up here, that the humidity of the bracers, as soon as you take it out of the Amazon area, it starts falling apart. Yeah, you're absolutely right. People
even better, they were supposed to be Nordic Amazons.
Nordic Amazon. Nordic Amazon women, murderous gang. Yeah, that sounds like one of those 50s horror movies. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, I get it. He liked naked blondes.
Right.
But that's not D&D.
You just don't know what they were doing. No, they were very clever. What they were doing is they sent that in so that way, by comparison, the other stuff would get passed through.
That's right. Yeah.
Because some of that Judges Guild stuff, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like the monsters that didn't make the Fiend Folio. But that's a different conversation.
And so I also did a mini game, Saga.
Right. Tell us about that.
That summer. That was
that's a lot of work.
Decided to do.
I mean, I was just gonna say. I mean, because you're only there for. I mean, it makes it sound like you were there for 2 years. I mean, you write the expert set, and my understanding is you basically wrote it, right? And then Zeb Cook edits it. You sat down and typed. I mean, that makes it sound so easy.
Is Zeb Cook's editing? Do you realize he did that without a computer?
Mm.
And he did it to make pages match up, so you could make a loose leaf collection. I mean, and he did it on a really short deadline.
Yeah, okay.
I would have told you it was impossible for Zeb Cook to have done it. The editing.
Why? Gary had a lot of faith in you because you're there for a summer, because you're going back to law school. I mean, you're not. So you're there for a summer. You're on a deadline. It's the expert set. I mean, this is big money at the time, right? I mean, I don't know how well it was selling at first, but I mean, the basic set became the best seller, I believe, right? It was doing.
And the expert set turned out to really sell well.
So why? That's a lot of. I mean, I know there's not really a question here, but that's a lot of trust. I mean, I'm putting it into this law student for a summer to type it up. Then we'll hand it over to Zeb, and we're under a tight deadline. I don't know. Maybe is that the way kind of things rolled at TSR?
There were other projects other people were busy with, and it's like, okay, do this.
Yeah.
And so I did it. And then they decided to do some mini games. And I wrote up a bunch of proposals, and they picked Saga as the one they wanted. And I knocked that out. And I learned something really interesting in that process. One of my proposals has the same name as a game that came out later. But if you read the game, you can tell that whoever wrote that game never saw my proposal. Because conceptually, it's in the same realm, but it's so different. It was obvious to me, at least as a designer, that whoever wrote that game had nothing in common. And the fact is that names and tropes and other things, there's a lot of, and not all duplication is people ripping each other off.
Yeah.
A lot of it's convergent, and that will just happen. Now, the odds of someone else coming up with Ixochitl or Sagwan, fairly low.
So you didn't put them in the expert series, even though it was outdoor adventure. Why did they not make the cut?
Okay. In the expert book, we were limited to things. We were limited to a certain band of IP. The other thing they did is and I had originally had also bigger sea serpents, and they cut them down for the expert set in editing because they wanted to save that for later in the next book. That was kind of forecasting what bigger monsters would look like.
Oh, the lesser. You know what? I just noticed that it's a lesser sea serpent. Interesting. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I had greater sea serpents, and those got cut. But it's like the spells. We were limited to the spells in certain books, and then I got to add one spell, the clerical, the striking spell, in order to fill out the spell chart. So there'd be enough spells, the number count.
Oh, okay.
But you can see there's a bunch of spells that don't show up there. And that's because we were only supposed to use a certain sort. And that's why, to get my clerical spells so that I could fill all the numbers in the chart, I made one up. Rather than just, cribbing one from a later supplement.
What were your marching orders for writing it, and who gave you those orders?
Just write this. I realized looking back, it's like, you're not busy. Do this, okay? Everybody had projects and stuff they were working on, and okay, so, and then I asked. And here's a bucket of stuff. And it's like, do I have to use that? Because some of it was pretty horrid. It's like, oh, no, you don't have to use that. It's just in case you want to. It's like, thank you. So I put the bucket of stuff away and just started typing.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of your interaction? We'd love to hear Gary's stories and what he was like. So
Gary was very personable and worked very hard. One of his difficulties was he smoked. And his family belonged to a church. They would disfellowship you if you smoked. And a lot of people at the church didn't like D&D. And that caused him a lot of stress. He was very hopeful. He enjoyed people, discussing things with him. And he was quite open to being disagreed with as long as you weren't obnoxious about it. Now, some people would irritate him, like the Caltech Warlock guys. They basically rewrote his rules and then resold them and said, we're doing it right, and the other stuff's crap. Just what you want. Someone doing a derivative work, which is basically stealing from you and calling you crap. But he thought people would miss the boat on people how powerful clerics were. If you look at the experience charts for clerics, at 100,000 experience points, a cleric is on fire. He liked fighters, and you'll notice that fighters are the only ones that get to use the magic swords. And the magic swords are the ones that get to have the intelligent have powers. He and a number of the guys were much more into traps and tactical stuff. I tend to, have an occasional trap, and it's often environmental. This door will fall off its hinges, or this stairwell is covered with, the roof's fallen in and it's covered with dust and crap. If you're not careful, you'll slide down it. But he had a very tactical wargaming approach, which was part of his immersion for him. If you're in a real fantasy world, this is what you do. You'd be immersed. You'd be tactical. What else?
Well, you had you play tested too games, right? That summer.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the modules that you play tested?
Part of it is the giant. Somebody's place at night. They provide snacks and you played the game, which was kind of fun. We also played Monsters, and I got stuck with the familiar as a character, which meant I basically had a crow that couldn't do much, flap around and watch the other characters, do something. I spent most of the summer at Lawrence Schick's house, and then when the French artist showed up, I stayed with one of the other guys. What else? Gary liked bar food, but so did I.
Nice.
They held stuff at the Playboy Club, but the Playboy Club in Lake Geneva was more of a country club rather than a place full of bunnies. If that makes any sense. Yeah. Just happened to be owned by the Playboy. And they had a big event for the 4th of July every year. And it's the first time I saw fireflies in any large number. Leaving, it was just coated with fireflies. It was just amazing.
Speaking of Lawrence Schick's house, were you there when was Errol Otis that summer? I don't know when Errol Otis would have done the cover for Deities and Demigods. It gets, I think this gets released at Gen Con in the fall of 1980, and I've heard a story about him working on it, maybe at Lawrence Schick's house. I mean, do you remember? Was he working on that when you were there?
He was, all sorts of artwork. And Lawrence was editing at nights, and I did a little bit of editing. I don't think I'd put Coyote as a lawful character, for example. Trickster gods are generally not lawful.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Where's the Coyote? That's which?
Native American.
Native American. Okay, yeah, that's.
And so I edited a few of the gods, some of the entries. Lawrence did a bunch of editing. Lawrence did a lot of editing of other people's work. And I'm talking heavy editing. And Gary didn't mind at all. He felt heavy editing, rewriting was more than acceptable and was appropriate. And with some stuff I was doing, he told me, "Yeah, don't worry about that. Someone else can rewrite it with the ideas from you." On some of the Plains reality stuff. It's that summer I didn't actually see that much of him. He was really kind of busy.
Okay.
I did get to meet his office. His daughter was his receptionist. Everybody was scared of her. She was really nice and really pleasant, and she was dressing out of magazines, which meant like see-through braless blouses. And so, you were just scared to look at her. And so everybody was, except for one guy who got fired, bless his heart. He was also propositioning other people's wives and wanting to run a campaign in a brothel and couldn't understand why nobody else was interested in it.
Yeah, that's.
And then he got caught. He made a pass to Gary's daughter, and he got caught stealing money. He got suspended, and he came in while he was off to take money out of the till because, after all, he needed to steal money for lunch.
Wow.
Wow,
We should have that guy on the show.
Yeah, that code of conduct's pretty good. You can flirt with the owner's, founder's daughter, steal, and you only get suspended. Who would have
got
known?
fired when he came back in.
Right.
A warning. You get a written warning.
It was like, everybody was like, the guys whose wives he made passes at were pretty upset with him, and then it all blew up when the other stuff happened, and Gary found out how bad it was, and then they suspended him when they were trying to figure out what to do. They weren't into firing people.
See, we had Bill Willingham on the show, and I don't know if he was there when you were there, but he said a woman came in to drop off the mail, and he thought she was cute, but he was too scared he didn't ask her out. And then years later, he ran into her, and she said, "Oh yeah, I thought you were cute. You should have asked me out." See, but I guess he was
fired.
He didn't want to get fired, right? You think that was Gary's daughter?
Well, when you have someone really that obnoxious, nobody wanted to be a creeper.
Right.
Exactly. Everybody was trying to be really well behaved. There were some gaming industry groups that weren't that way, but TSR was a bunch of people trying to be very adult. Now later, I don't know if you heard about the time when they fired a bunch of people. They finally decided to fire some people. And what they did is they asked everybody to name 2 projects they'd worked on in the last year. And all you had to do is have touched it somehow. And everyone who couldn't name at least one TSR product got fired. And they fired 70 people who had basically hung out on the payroll, and no one knows what they did because they couldn't even name a product.
Wow.
Oh. And the Judges Guild stuff convinced TSR there was a market for modules. And then a guy sent in one, which I think eventually became the Lost City of Tohoku Counters. I forget how it's pronounced now.
Yeah.
But what happened is the guy had a college project. That was his project. He did the art for something. He sent it to us just to look at it. And I'm like, wow, this is neat. We have to follow up on this. And then they started doing their own modules. And it was successful. Something that came up later, and I think is very important, is having a core play experience. So when you ship a game, you need to also ship an initial scenario or 2, initial campaign, so people can share that experience. Chaosium used to ship with Apple Lane, and everybody who played RuneQuest had played through Apple Lane, and they all shared that. So they had that in common. With D&D, a lot of people had the Against the Giants, Keep on the Borderlands experience in common. And so they'd all been through that. And so they had common ground for their characters and their approach. And something that 5th edition has done very, very well is the coordinated play, where there are these nationwide campaigns that once a week, everybody has the same adventure. And so you have this huge body of stuff in common with all these other players. And if you move, or you and your group end up on the outs, you join a different group, you can slide right in. And that's an extremely positive thing that they did.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I mean, X1, Isle of Dread, B2, they're iconic. Like you said, it's a shared lexicon that everyone has. Um, that played the game. Yes, you could go off because again, people talk about their campaigns, and it's like, tell me about your character. After a while, I don't want to hear about your character. No offense, but how did you deal with the ogre in the first cave, or what happened with the minotaur? Everyone, it's so iconic. Did you realize, or let me ask this: when did you realize? I think for many people, AD&D First Edition, yeah, there's a core group of people who are playing it because they played it back then. Dan and I are an example, but BX is not only popular then, it's so popular now. It's been the father of so many games that are so popular today because of its simplicity, its cohesiveness, you could do whatever with it. When did you realize that you had built something that, is not only a great product, but is timeless, so many years later?
This year.
This year? Really?
Yeah. Now AD&D was intended to give people the tournament rules, and one of the interesting parts of that was the spell components. Right. When I did Phoenixes, they were the only thing with spell components, and that was a major limit on their magic with spell components. And then spell components became common. It's like, okay, I have to rework that someday. And what's really interesting is Sean Summers, who did some stuff for TSR and then worked for Chaosium for a while. He ran a campaign where fighters and others had abilities just like spells. And it's very similar to modern 5th edition, which I thought was kind of interesting. But BX, I was really quite surprised, to realize that people still liked it.
Wait, are we supposed to take spell components seriously in first edition? You mean like
only for? I never did, but
no one does.
But for conventions, that was spell components are probably one of the most ignored things.
They're up there.
What was the? I think I like them because I always think it's so entertaining to look at the spell components, and they always seem so clever. We have a magazine, a little fanzine that we do for first edition, and we do things like, okay, if the Mad Wizard used these spells, what would they create? So that's kind of similar to spell components. What was Gary's thinking? Was Gary's thinking with spell components that it was supposed to make things difficult? Like if your spell components, are you talking about like saves, for, where your item saving throws that you could lose the spell components and then you can't cast a spell?
I don't know. I do know that World of Warcraft, the big MMO, used to have a bunch of spell components for all sorts of things, and they got rid of all their spell components.
Yeah, players don't like them very well because I guess they feel like it's a nuisance. You've got to, I guess it's boring to go out and find them. And what's interesting about spell components is that there's a lot of money to be made. If you look at the spell components for things like, you harvest organs and monsters. And so that's really, if there's money in spell components, it's a trade as opposed to having.
Spell components are loot. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And I didn't know that until I had a player who they killed a vampire and he started taking stuff from the body because I guess there's a lot of stuff that vampire dust. I think he took I guess it was just dust at that point. Obviously, he took the dust. I think vampire dust is used for something
yeah. And not only that, but especially when gold equals experience points, harvesting the parts is sometimes one of the most valuable, is more experience points than killing the monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the real big thing was dragon parts. Everybody, cut dragons up with the kill one. I still remember the first time I played in a BX campaign. Some guy had, actually Holmes edition, but Sure enough, the first room had a dragon in it. It's like, what? He said, well, yeah, obviously the dragon's going to set up here because first level adventures are easy to eat.
Gary said you're supposed to play the monster smart, right?
Yeah, and then we got lucky on the rolls and we killed the thing. And then we ended up with so much loot. It was like, okay, I've had it with this campaign.
That was quick, yeah.
Yeah, you're done. Well, James, do we have questions? We've been monopolizing our guest. Do we have any?
It sounds like we need to come up with a campaign where you have these dragon whaling ships that go around killing dragons and harvesting them. It's like, some kind of commercialization. Everything's commercialized, like Saruman, kind of war engines where you're just harvesting monsters and processing them in like a Likes chicken factory. That's where you get the undead chicken zombie skeleton things, is that they're harvested. It's awesome.
Yeah, you have these feral aquatic chickens. They're a nuisance. So you kill them, you eat them, and then you turn their skeletons into riding animals for your kobolds.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like the buffalo. You just use the whole thing.
Yeah.
The Mad Wizards. Well, we talked about, there's a lot
I mentioned that American Indians have been able to turn buffaloes into skeletons as well to ride and pull their stuff around.
That's right. The horse would have never, the love affair with the horse never would happen.
Well, yes, I always thought about that. I mean, shouldn't we have skeletons and zombies just doing menial labor, and they should be servants and things? I mean, why? I mean, other than the fact that I guess it's evil-ish, what's wrong with that? I mean,
Well, originally it was kind of neutral too. It's like any magic user got high enough level ought to be raising a bunch of zombies and burying them under his front yard. So he's got an army ready when he gets attacked.
Well, people don't like that, though. Gary, he told us this is essentially an evil act. And so now it's like I did that at a convention and it raised eyebrows because I was a lawful good cleric. I was like, I hadn't played in like 30 years. So it just made sense to me. Yeah, like let's have we killed these guys. Let's raise them and have them work for us, be our henchmen. And it got raised eyebrows because Gary sort of saw that coming, I guess, didn't he?
It used to be a magic user spell.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like, it's one of those things that's easily abused.
Yeah.
Especially because evil people don't get turn undead.
Oh, okay. Here's an interesting, since you mention it, Gary did not mention what neutral clerics do. Like, do they turn as evil or good? And I think we asked Jim Ward, and Jim said, well, Gary didn't really have well, he didn't say exactly this, but essentially sort of like there were no neutral clerics. When Gary ran games, there never were. They were always good.
Yeah.
So
except bad guys are always evil high priests or whatnot.
Yeah, the EHP. It took me a long time to figure out what EHP meant. Like it kept being referred to in this. I'm like, what's an EHP? So, so the neutral cleric. So
neutral clerics don't get any spells.
Boo! What do people think about that, James?
That's why there aren't any neutral clerics.
Well, wait a second. James was a cleric of who are you? You were a Dionysus.
The chaotic neutral. Well, that's what happened. I think we always assumed true neutral clerics were druids, but then
druids.
But then deities and demigods came out, and you had Dionysus was chaotic neutral. So, that's so my priest was obviously a drunken alcoholic, basically, who couldn't.
It was a disaster.
It was a disaster. So
that was the DM. Bad.
Hung out with the maniacs, I bet.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it just, to your point, it just kind of evolved. As you started with clerics were good or bad. The alignment system is awesome, but it then, when you move beyond, first from the 3, and then what Holmes had 5, and then we went to the 9, the 3x3 matrix.
Well, actually, the 3x3 matrix is older than Holmes.
Oh, it is? Okay. So Holmes was a simplification of that then?
Yeah.
Were you okay with that?
Yeah. What's that?
Were you okay with what Holmes did with the...
Hey, I was, people can do what they feel like, it's like... It made Holmes happy.
Yeah, are you surprised that it gets so much controversy? I mean, still to this day, it's so... of the things in D&D that have carried over, even in 5th edition, they've really kind of dumbed it down. But it's still there. It's a vestigial thing. They haven't completely abandoned it.
there are two different ways to approach alignment, or more than two, but the most common are alignment's an underlying force in the universe. The positive material planes are good, the negative material planes are evil. And then you have people that are ordered and people who are anarchist. And, people tend to fit somewhere. And alignment is just an underlying, nodal point. And if you're going to worship a god, your alignment probably should kind of fit towards that god because it'll bring you closer and get you more power. In fact, I once designed a campaign where there were no clerics, but everybody was a cleric. And somewhere between 1% and 99% of your experience points went to cleric, and the rest went into your character class. But the other way to do it is where you have alignment languages, and where it's an overwhelming exterior structure. And the structure is kind of harsh sometimes. All orcs are this, whereas I saw orcs more like Vikings, and the biggest model for orcs right now is World of Warcraft, because more people played that before coming to D&D than anything else. And orcs are aggressive, but they're also very honorable. But if you do alignment, and I tend to use alignment languages like Latin would be an alignment language in our world. Not that you couldn't learn Latin if you weren't part of the high church, and not that, but that it's something that's used by, versus a test you can in some forms of D&D, you can check for alignment just by having people talk.
Right.
And, you get people, they knock on the dungeon door, are you for law or are you for chaos? Like, literally, there were people that you read their write-ups to their campaign, and that's what they were doing. They were, banging on doors in the dungeon and asking the question. It's like, okay. The dungeons were interesting because they let you generate a campaign without having to generate a campaign. They were random dungeons were an amazing tool for that purpose, because you could have content without needing to be able to generate content, so to speak. And it let people play who otherwise would not have been able to play.
Right, because to your point, there wasn't so much content, and if you didn't feel comfortable, and we've talked about this before, there's a time in the mid-'70s, early '70s where it's more do-it-yourself, that latitude to, and then, particularly, I can speak for myself, I think, Dan, we started early '80s, and by then, it was more codified, and this idea was, if it wasn't from TSR, at least in my 12-year-old brain at the time, it wasn't legitimate. I knew there was Judges Guild and Roll Aids, and I had some of that stuff, but really, we made our own campaign, but it didn't feel legitimate. The DMG has blank spaces for the artifacts so that you can make yours, but it was still under the auspice of you're in a Greyhawk kind of world, and then they expanded it. And so I think there is that division that people of newer, they've said, well, if it's not in the rules, and we see it now in newer games where if it's not on my character sheet, I can't do it. Whereas back then, you didn't have that kind of mindset. So I think I agree with you, Stephen, in that. Yeah. This idea of some folks would not be capable of making their own mods. So having that random thing, I love the random. We love dice rolling. That's how we do half the stuff, because the story, it's improv. It's you build the story from that.
And early on, you had, villages of lawful good goblins, and, alignment wasn't, it was a guideline. It wasn't that strict. And some groups like the Drow, okay, bless their hearts, you've got a living demon goddess running your country. You're either going to get with the program or get out. but for the most part, alignment was more the general trend of a group.
Yeah, and I think what I've gleaned from it is alignment outside of the deities or primordial force is very hard to manage. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense because then it becomes this thing of subjective between the DM and the player. Whereas if you have if you're someone who's following Grumsh says this is what is right. If you don't follow it, then you get kicked out, and now you have a problem because you have a cult of Grumsh not happy with you or whoever your deity is.
Yeah.
And so I think when people struggle with alignment, whether the paladin should kill kobold babies or whatever the ethical dilemma is, well, if they're following a deity of vengeance and whatever, who's kill anyone who's not part of the faith, be a lot simpler to make that adjudication versus the deity of mercy and redemption or whatever. I'm just making nonsense up. And that, so some of the conversations with that. So it sounds like so after TSR, obviously, and dealing with that, when did you stop really doing things with TSR and, eventually gets bought by Wizards and all that kind of stuff?
After they told me I wasn't going to be employed by them, I corresponded with Gary. Gary eventually got forced out completely. He started another group, which turned out to be a bunch of venture capitalists who were trying to leverage his IP in order to get more capital. And they weren't actually going to put any of their own money in. And they strung him along, and then they weren't able to capitalize on it. And then he did Legendary Journeys. And he got sued over that. The only person who made any money off it really was his attorney, who got almost $500,000. And I got asked if I could brief, and I provided him a motion for summary judgment brief. And instead, $400,000 later, it still hadn't been filed. Because Gary had taken every single design point you could take. He went the other way from D&D. So instead of ruling attributes randomly, you picked all your points. Just right down the line. And then, he was working on stuff. Eventually, I hit some personal tragedies, and I was out of the game for a while. I buried 3 kids in 5 years.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry.
And that kind of was distracting, to say the least.
Oh, unbelievable.
And then Gary's health got bad, and I finally decided to go out and see him, and he died the year before. And Judges Guild was going to do some of my stuff, and that's when they kind of folded up. And anyway, I contribute a little bit here, a little bit there. So I've got credits in Fantasy Hero, and I've got credits in a bunch of the Glorantha stuff. And American Gothic turned into Call of Cthulhu. And, I've got contacted to be involved. I was going to get rid of a bunch of papers and give them down to GROGTALK. And he said, you got to contact Paul Stormberg. And so Paul sold them for me. And then I got contacted by the North Texas RPG Con guys, and I've been involved with them since. I did some stuff with New Big Dragon, and they've had some delays. Their principal got a tenured position. His wife left him,
Oh, yeah. Life happened. Oh, geez.
Yeah, and I've been backpacking. I retired a couple of years ago and started backpacking. My wife and I did a big chunk of the Appalachian Trail. Then our daughter had her baby earlier than expected, and then needed us because her husband got sent, overseas for a bit. And then in 2020, we're going to finish it up, and the pandemic hit. So we leased our condo out, so we went and stayed in our daughter's basement
Wow.
because, well, we didn't have a place to go home to because someone else was living there.
Yeah.
She needed help with the kids because she's a quality assurance engineer for a medical company.
Mm-hmm.
And she was working on ventilators and didn't feel like she could take her job off.
Right.
And so we watched the kids, and that was actually kind of fun. And then my wife took a contract out in Virginia, and I'm writing a little bit. I'm just a little bit slow, but I'm finally putting together the zombie, the chicken skeletons and Lunch with the Dragon and Mist World.
And this is for North Texas that you're going to do that for?
Yes.
So you're going in June? Oh, is it June, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, that's great.
Is it planned for them to do that in person? I haven't been keeping up. So is that the plan?
Some
for them?
people are. A bunch of us have been vaccinated.
Right. Yeah.
Well, go ahead. I was just going to mention that there's a convention in October that's coming up that certain folks run in Orlando, Florida, October 15th through the 17th. That's our convention. So if you feel so inclined, perhaps you would come down and run your chicken zombie dragon adventure as well. Perhaps you would. It's not too ridiculous. The fires of hell heat is not that bad in October here in Central Florida. It's not.
I've got a sister-in-law who lives in Orlando. Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, there you go. Well, we will send you information. No, you don't have to commit to anything. We would love to have you. It's the convention we are hosting, also known as GROGTALK. That is our convention.
That's neat. Are there other questions from your listeners?
Well, you've answered a few of them. A lot of love for BX, and a lot of the games that are derivative from that. You answered about the aquatic elves and the monsters. You also answered why some of the monsters weren't in the expert series, why they didn't carry forward from that. I'm kind of scanning here. Dan, do you have any follow-up questions?
I do. So OD&D versus AD&D. So you land at TSR in the summer of 1980. The Holy Trinity, as we like to call it, have just completed being published, the DMG in 1979. And I've heard you talk about this, about you're not a big, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but you're not a big rules guy, that you saw the rules as flexible. A lot of, so could you talk a little bit about how you viewed AD&D and the rulesness of it?
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I transpose rules fairly flexibly in my head. For example, Mist World is natively a D100 series where high rolls are good, but I'm writing it up to be compatible with Chiasm's basic role playing where low rolls are good. And I find it fairly easy to transpose stuff around. And the people I played with, like Sandy Peterson, the original rules he did for American Gothic, when he fleshed it out, they were 3d6, very similar to Steve Jackson Games rules. But if you looked at Call of Cthulhu, it's a D100 system, and you wouldn't recognize, because he just completely swapped the system out. And it was, and so rule systems are like, okay, the rules.
So were there particular rules in AD&D that you ignored, that you didn't like, and were there particular house rules that you employed that you can think of?
I tended to kind of ignore components.
Mm-hmm. Differing damage based upon weapon type versus AC. That's another one that's often ignored.
It was fun I designed some of that. It was fun to design, but using it is like work.
Oh, so you were involved in the weapon damage idea?
I mean, you've got things like a bow staff and a joe staff. The joe staff is shorter, but it's got longer reach because you hold it like you would a sword. Whereas the bow staff's held like a quarterstaff. And you're not sliding end to end. And so the shorter weapon actually has longer reach. I did a little bit of that stuff. It was fun, but some pole arms are better against certain types of armor. The problem is it's the armor versus the number. So are you attacking plate? Are you attacking chain? You know, a draw cut sword slides off chainmail. But is that armor class 5, or is that armor class 5 consist of someone wearing leather with high dexterity and magic? Or someone in plate being hit from behind?
Well, that's true. We actually had that conversation last episode because we go through the sage advice, and somebody wrote in and asking whether the shield can't, because it's just a number, as you say. And so they weren't asking some of the many questions you've just brought up. They were simply asking, well, does shield count? And the answer seemed to be yes, shield does count. And then this launched into a discussion that we had. Well, why should shield count? What has that got to do with the type of armor? And so yeah, that.
Yeah.
I think that's why some.
And that's why we really should just play BX. Right. We should just play and not worry about this.
Now, something fun I do at the house once in a while is you take 2-liter bottles of pop. When they're empty, you fill them with water. And then after you've got a bunch of them in your garage and your wife starts to kvetch, you get your daughter to come home and you get out the swords and you cut them all up.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's interesting to see, you can treat a 2-liter bottle of water is probably armor class 10, and you're striking it from behind with surprise, and it's prone. And most people are doing good if they get a good cut half the time. It takes them a while. It gives you a good idea why people just don't pick up swords. On the other hand, you give someone a rapier, almost everybody can pierce the thing, and much to their surprise, and it's part of the safety training, often you'll get 16 inches of penetration more than you were expecting. Because a rapier kind of pulls the thrust, if that makes any sense, or pulls a line, and it just goes.
Just keeps going, huh?
Yeah, and everybody, 100% of the time, can get a good thrust in. And it's good practice just to give people an idea of the difference between weapons.
So while he's backpacking, he's potentially could be armed with a rapier. So just if you do meet him, if you meet Steve and his wife out and you think, hey, let's see if he has a pickup D&D game, do not sneak up on him. Give plenty of warning because he may draw a rapier and shiv you 16 inches past what he thought because in his eagerness to protect his family. So just a word of warning.
If only they were weight free.
And I'll be the dude with the sword. Wait, it doesn't. He doesn't like.
I don't want to carry anything that is excess weight. Though I have run. I did run some D&D games on the trail.
See?
Oh wait, you brought up another good question. Encumbrance. Did you play by encumbrance rules?
Encumbrance belongs when you've got a computer doing all the work for you.
Exactly. Okay.
Or when someone decides to force flail through their belt.
Yeah, I agree. Now, who are you playing with? Is this pickup games on the trail? Are you you come to a rest stop or whatever?
He's at a bar.
Like, hey, guys.
He's at a bar. He's eating bar food, and pulls out the.
No, it was in a shelter.
Really?
Appalachian Trail is a bunch of shelters. Yeah, and somebody found out I played. Next thing you know, I'm running a game for a couple people.
So think about that. You're on the Appalachian Trail.
And I later in TR, so I kind of play tested. Yeah.
You're at the trail.
It's really cool too.
Yeah. You're with, and you're playing with one of the almost, original people who formed the game that has now millions of people. That's just because you're hiking on the trail. There you go, folks.
Did they know who you are? Did you tell them?
Yeah, that's how I ended up running the game. Because the guy's father was like, he's like, yeah, we gotta play this. He was homeschooling, he was Hawkeye their trail games. Anyway, the kid was a great kid. It was fun. I actually made use of the play tested some stuff I was working on, so it was all good. He had a dice app on his phone, so.
Well, very good. Everyone's just really thankful, Stephen, for coming on today. It was a great conversation. Really appreciate your insight. Dan, do you have anything else for him? We want to be respectful of his time.
No, I got all my questions answered. It was great.
So Stephen, we have one tradition. Besides, obviously, we'll send you an invitation to GrogCon if we can help make that happen. If you are so inclined.
And I did forget one thing too. It says, of course, our editor-in-chief, Rob Ritchie, would be very unhappy with us if we didn't mention, I think I've alluded to it, that we have a magazine, Flipping and Turning, dedicated to 1E, and not the issue coming up, but the one after that is dedicated to underwater adventures. I'm just noting that. That's it. Just continue on, James.
So we will send you since you're tech savvy, we have PDF versions of it online that people can download. So, we'd be happy for you to look it over. And if you want physical copies, because maybe we can entice you to submit if we put it in this is our official fanzine that we do. And perhaps we could get an article from Stephen Marsh. That would be to go with our artwork from Bill and Willingham and Lou Pulsifer that we've had in. So that would be awesome.
And one of our first edition, our first issue, a mint copy is selling on eBay right now for $99. Now, in full disclosure, we're selling it, but nevertheless, we're trying to get buzz.
That's right.
Would you like something on kobolds?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Whatever you say, we will say yes.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, why do you tell us about your interest in kobolds? Because I love gnomes.
Kobolds are traditional character in mythology, and for the most part, they're helpful. They're not feral. They're tame. But they're environmentally constrained. The environment changes them, and so I thought I'd expand on kobolds a little bit more.
Yeah, that would be great, kind of based upon their origin. And so, well, that's reminiscent of what you said about orcs, that you viewed orcs as kind of like Vikings, right? So maybe, see, James, kobolds are misunderstood.
It could be the segue to Roger Moore's ecology of, he could do the ecology of kobolds.
The kobold,
That would be amazing. We'd love that.
Yes. So the answer would be yes. That would be one.
And I'll also toss in the chickens.
And well, that goes without saying. Well, yeah, I mean, we're only taking the kobolds if we get the chickens.
Riding chicken kobolds.
That's right.
So we have one tradition.
Only some of them.
Only some of them. That's right. The elite kobold guards. The tradition we have is we ask our guests to roll a D10 if you have a D10 available. Which Eddie, we knew. Did we even have to ask that Steve would have?
We love it. Like, our guests always have dice within a 10-foot radius.
That's right.
It's great.
So
yeah, I've got on my desk here.
That's great.
Yes.
So
D10. Yeah. So 1 being this show wasn't so great, to 10 being an amazing show.
You're actually. And so tell us, Alicio Morningstar was misspelled, though. Is that right? You're in the dungeon in the log?
Yes.
Was that your summer character from 1980?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just keep rolling until I get a result.
Yeah,
I like.
You just tell us whatever the number is.
He said, can you roll multiple times? He wants to roll multiple times.
Yeah, I want to roll till I get a 10.
You can roll. You could do whatever you'd like. There's no rules.
No, the dice don't lie. The dice don't lie.
We prefer the first roll, but if you want to tell us when that roll is,
you need to be more confident.
That's right. So
I rolled till I got a 10. So yeah.
Oh, a 10! Congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you, because I have to write that down. We let people know. So.
Now all our guests are going to want to roll multiple times.
Yeah,
they just asked on Ilias and Morningstar. They asked us for characters, and that was a character I often ran in cons.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, they misspelled. Right, they misspelled it.
Yeah, she was a phoenix, so it was like, okay, I've got a fire-based magic system. Spells a little bit weaker than normal magic spells, and they require components, basically things would burn. Mm-hmm. And, but it was just something I was doing for fun. And I find that if I'm doing something for fun, I don't mind if it's a little bit weaker than normal. You know, too many people when they're doing their fun stuff, it's like, okay, it's only fun because it's better and more powerful than everything else.
Well, what I thought was interesting too is you're female, and I mean, not that that didn't happen, but I think, James, when we played, typically we would play male characters, and so I found it refreshing to see that you were
Typically, I
playing.
did too. You know, Eulakis and the rest. All my RuneQuest characters, we just rolled these things up randomly, and you know, this particular character, I rolled it up randomly. Also, a gender roll. So,
Why in the world was Dave Cook's character Fred 9802? What kind of a name is that?
that's a good question.
Yeah, and that's so odd. We had Zeb on the show, and we didn't even
You didn't
ask him that.
You didn't ask him.
Shoot.
You know, what's really interesting is I only saw this after everybody had submitted them, obviously, and after I'd seen print. You know, obviously, I would have corrected the spelling. But it was just for fun. So I don't know if Zeb Cook's character's name is spelled right.
Well, it says numerals.
Well, it may have been letters of some sort.
It may have been. I mean, 9802. Where is the editing? Okay. All right.
Oh, geez, don't start that question. So
That's just for fun, though.
well,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people out there like we were who look at those books, even the examples, and use them for basing arguments. Well, the sample dungeon adventure shows this. You know, this is the truth, and
Do you know what Lawrence Schick's character's name is?
What?
L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember that.
Not all about. You jokesters.
oh, jeez.
I thought you guys were adults.
He's a magic user thief, too.
That's
Wow,
right. You are
that is
absolutely
great
correct.
memory.
Elven. Chaotic neutral. Elven cloak, potion of fly. Yep. L. Ron Hubbard. Okay.
What do you have the character class for my character? I forget now.
Okay. You were a magic user fighter.
Okay.
You're half elf.
Yeah.
Your alignment was lawful good.
Yep.
Only 22 hit points. I like that. Back in the day, that's the way it was. At 22 hit points.
Yeah. You know, the half damage on save from Fireball was important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because good enough magic users focusing with scrolls and whatnot on a single target, and you could always get them.
Oh, can I mention this? Because you brought this up on another podcast,
Okay.
where you said you came up with this idea that if you were going to have a big army, you'd have an army of what, low-level magic users, so with sleep spells?
Elves.
Elves. Oh, that's right. You'd have elves.
The point buy for elves was really cheap, and they all got sleep spells.
So
They also got the split move and fire. So they all cast sleep, which has got a huge range, 240. Then they split move and they fire arrows at whoever's still standing.
Brilliant.
And for the point buy, you can destroy an orc army of similar points in the first round. I actually did that.
And what system?
That's
What system was that you were using for mass combat?
We're kind of mixing chainmail and D&D.
Okay, so you kind of made up a mass combat using chainmail. Okay, got it. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was real easy to do because you calculate all the people that go down from sleep spells, and suddenly there's hardly anybody standing. And then you've got like 10 elves per target. And the evil high priest or I guess it was an evil wizard, has just been hit by like 10 fireballs. I bought some scrolls and, bam. And that was that. And, round one, he's summoning Cloud Kill. And I destroy his whole army and him. Round two, part of my army disappears to Cloud Kill, the rest evacuates, and that was it. So, but then, I once played the Russell Finish War from SBI, and I destroyed Army Group North because I took Stalingrad, put them out of supply, and held it long enough, they all died.
With the elves or the the rhinos did you do that with? The
I should have used rhinos, but instead of used fins.
the fins, very good. That's right. They held their own. They held their own, and
The only time I played the game, it's like somebody else had played it a bunch. Said, okay, you can play the Finns, I'll play the Russians. I'm like, okay. And next thing you know, I put his whole army out of supply, and that was the end of the game.
history could have been changed. Then they wouldn't have had the forced peace and all the other things that happened.
You don't know what, James. You don't know what you're talking about. Just stop.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
That,
We don't. We're bad.
So I understand we're going to close up in 6 minutes. Is there any other questions
no,
anyone's
this
got?
is good. Everyone's thanking you very much, and so we are done. Thank you so much, Stephen, and we'll send you that information. We'll send you the flipping and turning and that, and hopefully maybe in June you'll be going to North Texas. So if they want to see you there, sign up, go out to North Texas. That'll be one of the first conventions post pandemic, or at least on the tail end of the pandemic.
Yeah. And they'll have part of it online as well.
All right. Well, we will look forward to it. Thank you so much. So on behalf of GROGTALK, I'm James. And this
I'm Dan.
is Stephen. Thank you again, Stephen.
I'm glad to have been here. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and we'll
Steve.
see you next time on GROGTALK. Take care.